Chapter 78. If he fought recklessly, it would not be easy for Yu Yang to take down a demon general. However, a demon general with a strong body had a fatal weakness. That was, if their heart was heavily injured, they would immediately fall to the ground. Of course, in comparison, humans had more weaknesses. Their head, heart, abdomen, lower body, spine, any place that received a strong blow would cause them to lose their battle strength. The demon generals only had one weakness, which was their heart, which was already very powerful. A small number of the insect clan's demon generals, even if their heads were chopped off, they could still continue to fight. Their regenerative abilities were extremely terrifying. The only weakness was the demon heart that supplied energy to their entire body, which could not be heavily injured. The two demon generals did not encounter Yu Yang, who possessed the innate invisible sword chi. They relied on their strong bodies and the extremely powerful defense of their demon armors. Even if they battled until their bodies were covered with cuts and bruises, and their limbs were broken, their battle power would not be reduced at all, and their lives would not be in danger. Meeting an abnormal person like Yu Yang was their bad luck. Who would have thought that an apprentice would actually be an innate ranker? Yu Yang's innate, invisible sword chi could easily pierce through magic armors and injure their hearts that were protected by muscles. Its power was extremely tyrannical. No one below level 6 could withstand an innate ranker's innate chi attack. The only regret was that Yu Yang could only unleash 3 strikes of innate chi. If Yu Yang could be like the heavenly sword goddess and release thousands of sword chi, why would he still need to pretend to be a weakling? He would purposely act weak to lure the two demon generals forward and take advantage of the moment when they were immensely pleased with themselves to launch a sneak attack. If he could unleash 10 strikes of innate chi, he would have already rushed forward and killed these 5 demon generals. 2 strikes of innate chi killed 2 careless demon generals. The result was outstanding. The most important thing was that Yu Yang had also added the best fertilizer for his thorny flower to level up. Where else could he find fertilizer like a demon general? If it completely digested these 2 demon generals, the thorny flower would probably evolve into a thorny flower demoness. After digesting Demon King Exion's arm, it might evolve again. Cultivating a golden crown thorny flower queen was not easy. It required a large amount of fertilizer. Moreover, it needed more and more high-leveled rankers as fertilizer. The demon general was undoubtedly the best choice. Now, not only could he kill his opponent, he could also nurture his thorny flower. He could also level up his summoning grimoire, and he could even obtain battle achievements and contribution points to the country after victory. This was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. There's only one type of person who could pierce through the demonic armor and destroy the demonic heart so easily. Inborn experts. The black-robed demon general was the fastest to react. With a sinister expression, he roared loudly, "So you are an innate ranker. No wonder you dared to charge into our demon abyss alone. This is a conspiracy. Although I had my suspicions long ago, a normal thief would not be able to possess a teleportation scroll to the demon abyss ancient dojo, and even more so, would not have a demon general's crescent blade. However, your disguise was too brilliant. I had caused the 9-headed monsters, the bronze grimoire, and the thorny flower that had chased me into the demon abyss to trigger an illusion. It's a pity that I discovered it too late. Otherwise, they wouldn't have died so tragically. A human martial artist who wanted to use us to train, an innate ranker who pretended to be a weak thief. Do you still want to leave the battlefield of death? No, no, no. Let us perish together in this battlefield of death. Your Majesty Lich King Grun, I want to sacrifice everything to you. Please bestow me with power." The black-robed demon general's words made Yu Yang's heart sink. A bad premonition flashed through his mind. This guy was going to risk his life. Moreover, it was that kind of crazy sacrifice of his life. Yu Yang picked up the twin crescent blades and flew out from the light barrier, shooting towards the black-robed demon general. This guy was a formidable opponent. He had to be killed as soon as possible. Although this black-robed demon general had a light barrier protecting his body, his close combat abilities should not be strong. As long as he killed his summoned beasts, the light barrier would disappear. At that time, he would definitely not be able to receive a fatal blow from Yu Yang. Right now, he had to find out where his summoned beasts were as soon as possible. He had to kill the 2 hidden summoned beasts and break that hateful barrier. Even if it was an element-type summoned beast, it would definitely have a body. At the very least, it would have an energy core. As long as that energy core was destroyed, the element-type summoned beast would immediately die. However, where did those 2 element-type summoned beasts hide? Roar! The demon general that was as fat as a demon insect shouted and rushed forward. When he rushed in front of Yu Yang, he had already completed his summoning technique. The fat on his body combined with the summoned beasts, turning into black demon insects that surged towards Yu Yang like a tide. In Yulong Valley, Yu Yang had seen this kind of flesh-eating demon insects before. They were completely unafraid of fire and loved to eat human flesh. Their hard teeth could even easily bite through the bones of wild cows. The flesh-eating demon insects in Yulong Valley were only level 1. However, the demon insects that this demon general summoned and combined with his body were all bronze-ranked level 3 demon insects. Looking at the flesh-devouring demon insects with sharp teeth, horns, and spikes all over their heads, looking at the black torrent that was crawling through the flames like a tide without any harm, even the most daring person would feel a chill run down his spine. In the sky, the demon general with wings on his back summoned numerous crow-like summoned beasts. He let them attach themselves to the arrows, turning them into black arrows that emitted smoke. Once they were shot, they would all automatically fly around. Drawing an arc, they strangely attacked the back of Yu Yang's head. So it's here. Found it. Yu Yang's figure flashed. At the same time he dodged the black arrow rain, he flew past the group of flesh-eating demon insects and rushed towards the most inconspicuous corner of the battlefield of certain death like lightning. When Yu Yang's figure was still leaping in midair, the crazy black-robed demon general had already cruelly cut open his own chest and abdomen. Using the blade of his blade, he randomly cut it. Instantly, his internal organs were smashed, his intestines were severed, and all kinds of internal organs splattered out along with his blood. A large amount of black blood that was so disgusting that it made people want to vomit was thrown out. Before the blood splattered onto the ground, a crimson teleportation door appeared above. It quickly expanded and then shrunk. Within a few seconds, a bone dragon, whose entire body was made up of bones, with dark black eyes and 4 claws that emitted black smoke, flapped its wings and flew out of the crimson teleportation door. Just barely. Before the teleportation door closed and disappeared, its entire body came out. The bone dragon's long tail, which was not completely brought out, was forcefully cut off by the closing space, soundlessly cutting off a part of it. The bone dragon opened its bone wings that were made up of bones and rotten skin, flapping them with all its might, and dove towards Yu Yang. Bronze-ranked, level 7 bones. Yu Yang's divine vision saw through the bone dragon's information in an instant. This made his heart tremble. The bone dragon in front of him was perhaps similar to an adult 9-headed monster. In some aspects, it might even be superior. Yu Yang could no longer care about eliminating the hidden lava monster and hellfire beast. With a spin of the crescent blade, he dodged the bone dragon's bite. At the same time, he fiercely slashed down on the bone dragon's seemingly fragile bone wings. Clang! A burst of sparks flew. Between the crescent blade and the bone wings, there was an ear-piercing sound of metal clashing. This bone dragon's bones were actually harder than metal. It was really abnormal. When Yu Yang saw that the crescent blade in his hand was broken, but the bone dragon was not injured at all, he felt a chill in his heart. The bronze-ranked level 7 bone dragon and the bronze-ranked level 5 Hui Tai Lang were only 2 levels apart, but the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. It seemed that level 6 was indeed the dividing line between first-rate and second-rate. Below level 6, no matter if it was a human, demon, or monster, no matter how strong they were only second-rate. It was difficult to achieve anything. Only by surpassing level 6 could they truly be called first-rate. This bronze-ranked level 7 bone dragon could not be killed with just these 2 crescent blades. He had to think of a way to shatter the demonized dragon crystal in its skull. Otherwise, he would not be able to do anything to this skeleton that was not afraid of being chopped. Your Majesty Lich King Grun, please listen to your subordinate's prayer. Send out a strong beast to destroy the enemy in front of me. The black-robed demon general's halo barrier suddenly shattered and disappeared. The summoning grimoire also fell to the ground with a thud. Yu Yang understood what was going on. This guy had summoned the bone dragon from the demon abyss to help him, breaking the ancient code of the dimension of duel. He was not far from death, and his body was probably going to explode soon. However, this crazy black-robed demon general did not seem to fear death at all. Instead, he looked at Yu Yang and laughed evilly, as if he had completed the proudest thing in his life. In the midst of that terrifying laughter, a huge and skinny black hand stretched out from the black-robed demon general's tattered abdomen. 5 jet black, long, and sharp fingernails condensed a green-blue electric current, crackling loudly. A ball of purple flame quickly condensed in the palm of his hand. Although the Lich King could not come out and only stretched out one hand, the purple flame that this hand carried had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Yu Yang's heart was filled with danger. He shouted loudly, prepared to use everything he had to stop this Lich King's actions. Yu Yang was like a bird, flying at an extreme speed, sweeping across a long distance. The 2 crescent blades were like wheels, chopping towards the Lich King's skinny black demon hand. However, Yu Yang's attack was still too late. The Lich King's skinny demon hand had already quickly retracted, leaving behind that ball of flame, which he threw towards the lava and the raging flames. Rumble! There was a deafening sound, followed by an earth-shattering explosion. Although Yu Yang used his chi to resist, his body was still sent flying by the spreading shockwave. He discovered that the ball of purple flame had actually crazily swallowed the crystal cores of the lava monster and prison flame beast, instantly absorbing all the fire energy. In the end, it grew, turning into a 6-meter-tall flaming giant. This flaming giant's entire body was composed of rocks and lava. Its upper body was somewhat humanoid, while its lower body was completely made of flames. It waved both of its arms, and raging flames soared into the sky. Even the bone dragon that had previously given Yu Yang a headache was flying high in the flames, hurriedly dodging, not daring to face the destructive flame energy with its body. Boom! The black-robed demon general, amidst his maniacal laughter, exploded into pieces. He died very miserably. Under the destruction of the power of the law, not even a bit of his body was left. Even his soul was completely destroyed. Yu Yang already knew that this fellow was definitely going to die, but he also felt a headache from his madness. Not only did he summon the bronze-ranked level 7 bone dragon, this fellow was also afraid that he would not die, so he summoned the Lich King. Although the Lich King could not enter, the Lich King was very powerful. He used a few seconds to throw a silver-ranked level 7 Flame Lord into the battlefield of death. If Hui Tai Lang was here and met this Flame Lord, it would probably be killed in an instant. Now, he had to face the silver-ranked level 7 Flame Lord, bronze-ranked level 7 Bone Dragon, and 2 demon generals that had at least the strength of a level 5 Grandmaster. How should he fight this battle? The most terrifying thing was that this was still the battlefield of death. He could not escape. He had to kill all the enemies before he could leave. What should he do to defeat these enemies that were so strong that he could not possibly defeat them? Chapter 79. The Flame Lord charged fiercely towards Yu Yang with a ball of raging flames. Before it even got close, it sent a heavy blow forward. The flames that it sent out were like a fire dragon roaring towards Yu Yang. Yu Yang did not retreat, but instead advanced. He aimed at the molten core hidden in the Flame Lord's chest and used his innate chi to break open the stone-like chest armor. The crescent blade pierced through like lightning. The soft and weak piercing sound, as well as the scorching temperature, caused Yu Yang's heart to sink. The Flame Lord's figure flashed as it brandished its fists. Its fists were covered with raging flames as it smashed downwards, covering the sky and covering the earth. Its power was extremely great. Yu Yang immediately gave up the crescent blade in his hands that had already pierced into the Flame Lord's body and retreated backwards. The Flame Lord did not chase after him. It only slowly pulled out the crescent blade that had already melted into the bright red molten metal. The Hard Moon blade had already turned red and was as soft as paper. The wound on the Flame Lord's chest emitted a burst of hot liquid and recovered in the blink of an eye. It opened its huge mouth that was filled with liquid and swallowed the crescent blade like a snack. Yu Yang did not expect the crescent blade to harm the Flame Lord. However, seeing that the attack did not have any effect, he could not help but sigh. A silver-ranked level 7 demon was too terrifying. Its entire body was covered in raging flames. Lava as its body, fire liquid as its blood, raging flames as its form, and purple flames as its heart. How could he defeat it? Of the innate, invisible sword chi, there was only one sword left. If it did not work, then what should he do? Furthermore, there was still a bone dragon eyeing him like a tiger watching its prey. Seeing that the Flame Lord was chasing after him, Yu Yang immediately retreated back into the light barrier. The Flame Lord seemed to have some intelligence. It did not foolishly charge forward and attack the light barrier protecting Yu Yang. Instead, it set fire to the entire battlefield of death, changing it into a battlefield that was suitable for it to unleash its flames. The two demon generals hid in a corner far away. They did not need to attack anymore. They only needed to wait for the Flame Lord and the Bone Dragon to kill off Yu Yang. Persimmons were always picked from the softest. The Flame Lord was too strong, and the Bone Dragon's bones were too hard. Yu Yang decided to take down these two demon generals first. This was exactly what the two demon generals wanted, as long as they could delay this brat. Then when the Bone Dragon and the Flame Lord arrived, he would definitely die. As expected, when the two demon generals assumed a defensive stance, the Bone Dragon in the sky immediately flew down. Opening its mouth full of sharp teeth, it bit towards Yu Yang. In front of them was a large number of demon insects, and on the left and right were automatic tracking black arrows. The most terrifying thing was that the Flame Lord was about to arrive. Yu Yang's plan of attack had failed. The two demon generals that he had expected to scatter in different directions did not appear. Instead, they took on Yu Yang with an unyielding attitude. This caused Yu Yang, who had an advantage in speed, to be unable to display his greatest advantage in attacking the lone demon general. Yu Yang stomped on the ground and leaped up agilely. Like a white horse galloping through a crack, it passed through the narrow space filled with numerous attacks. It was mysterious and miraculous as it dodged all of the attacks. Before the Lord of Fire could swing its fist, Kirin somersaulted 3 times in the air and landed on the ground like fallen leaves. The crescent blade protected Yu Yang's body, slashing away the black arrows that were chasing after him. The Bone Dragon smashed with its long tail. Yu Yang tilted his upper body backwards to avoid it. He then used the crescent blade to borrow the strength of the Bone Dragon's wings to retreat quickly, once again returning to the shield. If it was any other human warrior who did not have the ability to enter and exit the shield freely, they would probably be dead even if they had 10 lives. The two demon generals were dumbstruck. This young human warrior was more inconceivable than anyone else they had seen before. He was obviously very young, but he was an innate ranker. Not only was his speed extremely fast, he could even enter and exit the Grimoire's shield freely. They had never heard of this kind of thing before. All the Grimoire owners, as long as they left the shield would disappear. How could he enter and exit it freely? However, no matter how miraculous or inconceivable it was useless. After 10 minutes, the shield would automatically disappear. In the end, it was impossible for him to have a second place to hide. Under the combined attack of the Bone Dragon and the Flame Lord, these two terrifying monsters, he would definitely not survive. The two demon generals could also see that this young innate rancor was not as strong as other human innates. he seemed to be slightly weaker. The most important thing was that his summoned beasts were not strong. Other human innates would either bring along mythical beasts or holy beasts. Their bodies were strong, and the power of their beasts was even more invincible. Even the weakest innate ranker would bring along diamond-ranked or platinum-ranked beasts. Other than this brat, where else would there be an innate ranker with a gold-ranked thorny flower? They really did not know what was going on with this brat. Maybe he was not a real innate, or maybe they'd seen wrongly. The two demon generals looked at each other and nodded. It roared crazily and fiercely pounced on her. However, the little lowly stood under the protection of the bronze grimoire and diamond grimoire. With the double protection, she could completely ignore the Flame Lord. In reality, little Wen Li did not seem to put the silver-ranked level 7 Flame Lord in her eyes at all. Yu Yang saw this and was flabbergasted. Could it be that diamond-ranked level 1 was really that powerful? It could ignore such a huge difference in levels? Little Wen Li was diamond-ranked level 1, but the Flame Lord was silver-ranked level 7. Furthermore, little Wen Li was still a newborn child. Could she really defeat the Flame Lord? A burst of golden light first lit up in the little lowly's palm, and then continuously appeared on the page of the diamond grimoire. Following that, there was a rainbow that spread like a flower. It was different from summoning the stone element Medusa. This time, the summoning time was slightly longer, and the target was not the Medusa with a head full of snake hair. This time, what was summoned was a girl that was covered with water vapor. Her golden hair was like a waterfall, her jade arms were like lotus roots, and her snow-white and flawless body. Other than a pink scallop covering her chest, there was not a single piece of clothing on the rest of her body. Below her beautiful waist was an elegant golden fishtail. When Yu Yang saw this summoned beast, he almost drooled. A mermaid. The one that the little lowly summoned this time was a mermaid with a snow-white body, jade arms, golden hair, and a long tail. Could it be that she wanted to use this mermaid that did not seem to have any combat power to defeat the Flame Lord and Bone Dragon, these two strong enemies? How is this possible? Not to mention Yu Yang, even the two demon generals did not believe it. Mermaids were usually special-type support-type beasts that did not have any combat power. If it was a mermaid warrior that wielded the Poseidon's halberd, then it would barely pass. However, this mermaid was obviously not a battle-type beast. Haha. The two demon generals were first shocked by the little lowly. In order to cover up their loss of composure, they started to laugh out loud. Ho! When a silver-ranked level 7 Flame Lord saw the appearance of the mermaid, it immediately turned around and ran away. The bone dragon in the sky also seemed to be a little panicked. It did not dare to fly too high. Instead, it quickly descended to the ground and used its bone wings to tightly wrap around its tattered body. That's not right. What was going on? Little Wen Li pointed with her jade finger, and that elegant golden mermaid immediately nodded. She took out a snow-white conch shell with red patterns from an unknown place and blew it lightly. In an instant, countless dark clouds appeared in the entire battlefield of death. The weather changed and the dark clouds accumulated. Then, a gust of violent wind blew from an unknown place, like a demon's claw, smashing the entire battlefield of death. Rumble, rumble. Streaks of lightning exploded in the dark clouds. Numerous tornadoes descended from the clouds like giant dragons sucking in water. The entire battlefield of death turned into a tornado. Violent wind, torrential rain, lightning, exploding thunder. Yu Yang was dumbfounded. This was too awesome, wasn't it? He really couldn't believe that an unarmed mermaid, with just a conch shell, could summon a storm and turn the entire battlefield of death into the eye of the storm. A thought flashed through Yu Yang's mind. That's right. Little Wen Li had 4 guardian beasts. One was the stone element Medusa, and the other was this storm mermaid. He didn't pay much attention to it at that time, but he never would have thought that this storm mermaid could summon such a terrifying storm. No wonder she looked down on the silver-ranked level 7 Flame Lord. No matter how awesome this Flame Lord was, it was destined to meet a tragic end when it met the storm mermaid. Countless raindrops poured down on the Flame Lord's body. At first, the Flame Lord could still resist tenaciously, evaporating the rainwater and forming countless white vapors that rose into the air. However, after being struck by a few lightning strikes, it couldn't take it anymore. Lava flowed out. The violent wind carried the rainwater on the ground and smashed onto its body. The Flame Lord struggled with all its might and pain, but it was completely useless. Water counters fire. The Flame Lord, who was originally so aggressive and arrogant, became the most tragic existence in the world in front of the rainwater. Its entire body gradually solidified into stone. The scorching lava quickly solidified and hardened. Another lightning strike struck down, smashing half of its head into pieces. Black rocks flew everywhere, revealing a large amount of scarlet lava in its body. Following the conk's horn, another wave of even bigger rainwater pounced on it. Before its death, the Lord of the Flames did something strange. It reached its hardening hand into its cracked skull, pulled out something burning with red flames, and threw it on the ground. Then, its huge body quickly turned into black rocks under the impact of the rainwater. With a loud bang, it collapsed on the ground, shattering into a puddle. In the blink of an eye, it was blown away by the violent wind. There's a treasure. Yu Yang's eyes were sharp. When he saw that the Flame Lord was going to throw out that red object, even if it died, he guessed that it was the most important treasure. He couldn't help but be overjoyed. He was prepared to brave the rain and rush out to retrieve the treasure. Its speed was even faster than his. The golden beast that was originally a wrist guard quickly changed back to its original form and dashed towards the red object. It looked like it was preparing to snatch the treasure from Yu Yang. Yu Yang was furious. With a kick, he sent the golden beast flying into the sky. As a summoned beast, not only did it not help its master, it even dared to snatch the treasure from its master. It must have learned this bad habit from Hui Tai Lang. The demon generals on the other side were struck by lightning and immediately fainted. Their bodies were blown around by the violent wind. However, the bone dragon was different. It had suffered a few lightning strikes, but other than its skull being a little charred and a few broken bones, the majority of its body was still intact. It was not a fire-type beast, and it was also a skeleton. The violent wind and rainwater did not have any destructive power towards it. It was just that it suffered a few lightning strikes, which made it feel unbearable pain. Fortunately, the Storm Mermaid had summoned a storm and not lightning. Yu Yang reckoned that if Little One Li had summoned a Thunder Naga instead of the Storm Mermaid, this bone dragon would definitely not be able to walk away unscathed. Yu Yang's hands were fast. He quickly picked up the red object that the Flame Lord had thrown out before it died. Before he could use his divine vision to take a closer look, he suddenly discovered that the golden beast, who was extremely fanatical about treasures and magic crystals, had pounced onto the bone dragon's skull. It ignored the bone dragon's struggles and continued to chew on the bone dragon's indestructible skull. It looked like it wanted to eat the bone dragon's demonized dragon crystal as well. My dragon crystal. Yu Yang was extremely anxious. This prodigal was 1,000 times, 10,000 times more wasteful than Hui Tai Lang. It could eat anything, but it loved dragon crystals. This dragon crystal was something that others could only dream of. Now, this prodigal golden beast wanted to chew it like a cucumber salad. Chapter 80. With its head bitten, the bone dragon clawed wildly with its claws. From time to time, it would fly up high and hit its head on the ground. The golden beast was deformed by the bone dragon's huge strength, but it quickly recovered and was not affected at all. On the contrary, it stuck close to the bone dragon's head like a maggot, taking big bites out of the bone dragon's skull. Its small body burrowed into the skull and absorbed the energy of the demonized dragon crystal in a frenzy. The bone dragon looked as if it was drunk, swaying unsteadily. It flew up and kept falling down from the sky. It also staggered as it walked. It could not use its claws to grab the golden beast out. Instead, while it struggled, it allowed the golden beast to absorb more energy. Yu Yang rushed over, but he could not get close. The bone dragon suddenly seemed to have lost all its support. Its entire skeleton started to fall apart. Its spine broke, its wings turned into black smoke and disappeared, its legs were broken, and its claws and nails fell to the ground. In the end, only a huge dragon skull was left, and it fell to the ground with a loud bang. Just as Yu Yang was about to reach out and grab the golden beast, the bone dragon's skull exploded with a bang. A black ball of light shot towards Yu Yang like a meteor. Yu Yang was about to use his innate sword chi to destroy it, but he suddenly realized that the black ball had turned around and entered the red object in his hand like a meteor. A burst of black smoke rose, and the originally dark red, strange object gradually turned dark purple, and at the same time, it gradually changed shape. Under Yu Yang's gaze, the red object that originally looked like a full moon turned into a broken crescent blade. In the place where it was broken, there was an additional purple flame-like ball. The other half of the broken crescent blade had a bone spur filled with demonic energy. On top of it, there was also a black ball that looked like a skull embedded in the crescent blade. At this time, the broken crescent blade had turned dark purple, and the patterns on it were complicated and mysterious. Around the two small balls, there was a strange existence that looked like blood vessels. It gave Yu Yang the illusion that the broken crescent blade had a life of its own. Using his divine vision, Yu Yang discovered that the purple flame ball with the largest amount of energy was the core of the Flame Lord. In order to protect the energy core from being destroyed, it had chosen to attach itself to the crescent blade that had been melted and reconstructed. The other smaller skull ball was a part of the demonized dragon crystal in the skull of the bone dragon. In order to survive, the bone dragon also chose to attach itself to the incomplete moon blade, completely abandoning its original bone dragon body. In fact, if the bone dragon had not escaped fast enough, it would have been sucked dry by the golden beast in less than a minute. The golden beast looked like it was drooling as it stared at the incomplete crescent blade in Yu Yang's hand. Yu Yang sent it flying with a kick. Now, after the fusion of the Flame Lord's molten core and the bone dragon skull crystal with the demonic dragon crystal, the broken moon blade had been reborn into a magic blade that had life. Because the molten core and the demonic dragon crystal were both severely damaged, they needed a large amount of energy to replenish themselves. If it could absorb more energy, the quality and power of this magic blade could probably increase. Just now, the incomplete crescent blade had already evolved to become a silver-ranked demonic weapon. Yu Yang thought that if he allowed the molten flame core and the demon dragon's crystal to absorb enough energy to restore them to their original state, or if he added in a strong demonic beast's inner crystal, would it be possible for the incomplete crescent blade to become a gold-ranked demonic weapon? After the fusion, although the magic blade was only one level lower than the original, its quality was more than 10 times better than the original. With a light slash of the blade, a small piece of the originally incomparably hard back of the egg blade was cut off like rotten wood. Through this comparison, Yu Yang could feel the true power of the demon blade in his hands. It was practically a different world's version of the Heaven Sword and Dragon Saber. Although the grade is still a little low, it is still a mutated loot. I'll use it as a weapon for the time being. After 3 seconds of consideration, Yu Yang gave the magic blade a name like Huijin. It cannot be denied that Yu Yang had a tendency to make fun of people. This Huijin magic blade was much smaller than the original egg blade. Although it had been repaired, it was still a third smaller than the original. If Yu Yang had bought a metal belt with a buckle, he could have hung Huijin on his waist. The remaining egg blade was too big and too long, so he could only carry it on his back. After defeating a strong enemy, his bronze grimoire leveled up again. In the whole of the soaring dragon continent, there was probably no one like Yu Yang, leveling up his grimoire by 1 rank after a big battle. After his grimoire leveled up, the storage space that Yu Yang longed for did not appear. Yu Yang had heard of this secret from Inam before. After some people leveled up their grimoire, they would obtain a blank page that could store items. Everyone's spiritual chi was different, so the number of items that could be stored would also be different. Normally, there would not be more than 5 items, and the space would be smaller. It was only suitable to store some valuable small items on the blank page. Towards this kind of blank page that could be used for storage, Yu Yang had drooled over it, but he still could not obtain it. It must be known that there were dimensional storage rings in the soaring dragon continent, but those were holy ranked treasures. They were so rare that even the Xia Emperor, Jun Wuyu, could not obtain one. The storage space did not appear, but the ancient code had given Yu Yang's guardian beast, Phantom Shadow, a second special ability, Reconstruction. Reconstruction. After Phantom Shadow has taken over a beast's body, it can absorb the same beast's body and energy to reconstruct its body. The target must be a living body. The success rate is related to the target's strength and willpower. Yu Yang still did not understand the function of this reconstruction. Could it be that it was only used to adjust his body's appearance? The barbarian Cow Shadow was a hard worker in battle, so she did not need to be beautiful. Reconstructing her body seemed a little useless. Of course, if the barbarian Cow Shadow could become more beautiful, Yu Yang would not object. The two demon generals who were still unconscious, the demon insect and the demon wing, entered the stomach of the gold-ranked thorny flower, becoming nutritious fertilizer. Yu Yang reckoned that even if the gold-ranked thorny flower did not finish digesting the demon king Hyaxine's arm, it would still be able to level up to become a thorny flower demoness within 3 days. With 4 demon generals who were level 5 and above as fertilizer, it would be hard for the thorny flower not to level up and mutate. It was just that Yu Yang still did not know how a thorny flower demoness would look like after changing into a humanoid form. Could it be that she would be as ugly as the barbarian Cow Shadow? Little when Li was still the same as before. She turned into a rainbow and floated back into Yu Yang's body to rest. On the other hand, the golden beast was different. It realized that Yu Yang would not let it eat the ashes no matter what, so it turned back into a wrist guard. It was unknown whether it was because it had absorbed the energy from the bone dragon's magic crystal or something else, but this time, the golden beast transformation ability had greatly improved. The wrist guard that it had turned into before was incomparably exquisite and full of energy. With one look, one could tell that it was not an ordinary item. Now, the wrist guard that it had turned into was nothing special. It was no different from a normal mercenary's wrist guard. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, Yu Yang would not have believed that it was the golden beast. Yu Yang opened a teleportation scroll and returned to the warrior's guild with the Hydra in his arms. Because he had gone through a huge battle and was drenched in a rainstorm, Yu Yang's entire body was drenched. Furthermore, he was carrying a Hydra that was even bigger than a calf. He was simply too eye-catching. Some mercenaries were curious as to why a water ghost would teleport back. After taking a closer look, they pointed at the Hydra and cried out in surprise, This is a cat." Yu Yang was the best at lying through his teeth. The mercenaries who heard him fell to the ground one after another. Who didn't know about the Hydra? If this was a cat, then the mammoths and elephants of the world would be mice. Yu Yang did not care about these idlers who sat in front of the Warriors Guild all day drinking and chatting. He carried the Hydra and ran all the way to the Warriors Guild Hall in front of the auction house. He immediately found the Storm Mercenary Group's leader and prepared to exchange the Hydra with him. The Storm Mercenary Group's leader was a 25 or 26-year-old man. According to the Soaring Dragon Continent's puberty and long lifespan, he was still considered a young man who had just reached adulthood. He was about the same as a 17 or 18-year-old youth on Earth. In reality, if a man in the Soaring Dragon Continent married at 30 years old, it would still be considered early. Many men from ordinary families would only marry at 35, 36, or even 40 years old. Only girls would marry a little earlier. This Storm Mercenary Group's leader's face was very young, but he purposely kept a full beard to show that he was mature and heroic. His words and actions also pretended to be a 30 or 40-year-old adult. When Yu Yang looked at him, why did he feel that this brat looked like a child pretending to be an adult? Of course, how others dressed up had nothing to do with him. As long as he could exchange for the fruit of wisdom and the lustrous branch of the tree of life, it would be fine. I'm sorry, the fruit of wisdom has already been given to someone else, so I can only use the lustrous branch to exchange for it. If you feel that it's not suitable, how about I compensate you with another 300 gold coins? This leader called Feng Rue really liked the hydra that Yu Yang had brought, but towards Yu Yang's conditions, he felt a little awkward. Why would I want money? Yu Yang was furious. He had risked his life to catch the hydra, but he never thought that the fruit of wisdom would already be gone. Actually, Yu Yang was really short of money right now. The teleportation scrolls and buying beast eggs for Yi Kong and the others had already used up the 100 gold reward and his previous savings. However, compared to the fruit of wisdom that was worth thousands of gold coins, compensating 300 gold coins was simply a big joke. Without gold coins, Yu Yang could slowly earn it, but the fruit of wisdom was not easy to get. No matter how much money he had, he couldn't buy it. If Yu Bing's Treant warrior had the fruit of wisdom and the lustrous branch, he believed that its strength would immediately increase by several times. Adding the heart of the oak tree, it might even be able to level up from bronze-ranked level 3 to bronze-ranked level 5. Moreover, the most important thing for a beast was its intelligence. Hence, this fruit of wisdom must be obtained no matter what. It must be one of the conditions for the exchange. Brother, this hydra is so ugly. Let's not have it. I have a classmate who bought a winged rabbit egg. If it hatches and the cute little winged rabbit eats the lustrous branch's green leaf of life, it might level up. So let's not exchange it. A big loli who was about the same age as Yu Bing stood behind the door and gave her brother an idea. Don't cause trouble. Hearing this, Feng Rue's forehead was filled with black lines. Not exchanging for the hydra, but using the lustrous branch's green leaf to feed the winged rabbit that had no combat power? Accompanying him was an awe-inspiring giant man. He was probably Feng Rue's guard captain. He advised, "Friend, the fruit of wisdom has already been given to someone. No matter what, you can't get it back. I think it's better not to give up on the exchange. We don't have that much money to compensate you right now, but we can owe you a portion first. We are the descendants of the Feng clan, the head of the 4 major clans, so we definitely won't renege on our debt. Now, you should accept this lustrous branch first. When we get the fruit of wisdom next time, we will compensate you. Of course, if you want gold coins, we could pay you no less than 2,000 gold coins. However, this can only be done at the end of the year. We don't have that much money at the moment. If you are willing, then we can go to the Warriors Guild and sign a notarized agreement." Who did you give the fruit of wisdom to? Yu Yang couldn't get the fruit of wisdom, so he started to have crooked thoughts of murdering people and stealing their treasures. "You gave it to me. How about it? Do you want it?" At this time, an imperial swordswoman with a full body of armor and a giant sword on her back walked in from outside the door. When she appeared, the giant man immediately shrank into a corner and turned into a kitten. Even Feng Rue, who was pretending to be mature, was so scared that he swallowed his saliva, not daring to make a sound. Yu Yang really didn't understand. Who was this girl? Why was she so arrogant? Could it be that she was a royal princess? Chapter 81. The royal swordswoman and Yu Yang looked at each other. Both of them couldn't help but let out a sound, their faces showing an extremely shocked expression. What surprised Yu Yang was that he had never seen anyone like him in the Soaring Dragon continent who mainly trained in combat skills. There was only this short-haired royal swordswoman in front of him. In the Soaring Dragon continent, combat skills were the worst of the worst. Other than the mercenaries who did hard labor, there was almost no one else who trained in combat skills. Among the disciples of the clan, other than the pitiful guy who secretly trained in combat skills before he contracted a summoning grimoire, Yu Yang had never seen a disciple who mainly trained in combat skills. This girl, why would she give up on developing her summoning skills and choose to train in combat skills instead? This royal swordswoman had sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes. Her black eyes were bright and full of expression. When she looked at people, there would be an illusion that her sharp gaze could see through them, as if she could see straight into their hearts. She was extremely tall. Although she was a woman, she was taller than a normal man by a head. Her height was similar to Yu Yang's. Although her entire body was covered in armor, it could not hide the beauty of her waist. If this heavy armor was taken off, who knows what kind of perfect and delicate body would be wrapped inside. Her pair of slender legs were incomparably elegant, as if she was dancing, as if she was a white crane treading on the snow. If city mistress Fallen Flowers used her summoned beast to defeat this royal swordswoman from a distance, Yu Yong did not doubt that it would happen. However, if it was a close combat battle, this royal swordswoman gave Yu Yong a feeling that even Feng Qi Sha, who was known to be invincible in close combat, might not be her opponent. Yu Yong could tell from her aura, walking, breathing, and other minute details that this royal swordswoman was a ranker who purely used martial skills. He did not know what material the black greatsword on her back was made of. Even with Yu Yang's level 2 divine vision, he was unable to see through that huge sword's level and quality. From this, it could be seen that this sword was at least a gold-rank treasure. Faintly, Yu Yang could use his divine vision to see a little. This girl's body's special characteristics, as well as the unknown beast that she had been hiding in her body, were extremely suitable to train in combat skills. Most importantly, this girl's combat skills were obviously very high-leveled, probably above the Yu clan spear technique. However, Yu Yang had never seen any high-leveled combat skills that were ranked higher than the Yu clan spear technique, so he was unable to determine what kind of combat skill she had trained in. The royal swordswoman looked at Yu Yang with the same astonishment. She realized that Yu Yang was a very strange man. Although there were all kinds of people in the world, she had never seen anyone like her who majored in combat techniques. What surprised the royal swordswoman the most was the sense of threat that the man in front of her gave her. This was the first time in her life that she felt this way from someone of the same generation. If it wasn't for her 6 records inherent skill, she might have been deceived by this man who looked like a thief on the surface. Looking again, she suddenly realized that he was carrying an uncontracted little hydra and was about to exchange it with Feng Rue. In her heart, she was very curious. Where did he get this little hydra from? Yes, I gave the wisdom fruit to Sister Qian. Feng Rue's tone was like a little wife who had been bullied, almost crying. I didn't steal it from you. You owe me a wisdom fruit in the past. Can I take it back now? The royal swordswoman's sword-like eyebrows straightened. Her heroic eyes shot out a sharp light as she glared at Feng Rue. This time, Feng Rue was so scared that he shrank into a corner like a kitten, not daring to make a sound anymore. Yu Yang felt that this girl was not simple. To be able to scare a disciple of the 4 great clans like a kitten, she was definitely not a descendant of an ordinary family. What's your name? The royal swordswoman ignored Feng Rue and went straight to ask Yu Yang. Titan. Yu Yang lied without blinking or blushing, as if his name was born to be Titan. And that's not right. You didn't tell me the truth. Forget it, this isn't important. What do you want the wisdom fruit for? The royal swordswoman had an extremely strong 6 records. Her senses were 10 times better than a normal person's. She could tell that Yu Yang wasn't speaking the truth with just one listen. Of course, the wisdom fruit is for eating. It can increase one's intelligence. Yu Yang was shocked. Could it be that this girl had the ability to distinguish between voices? No wonder Feng Rue and the others were like quails in front of her, not daring to speak. They were afraid that she would see through their lies. He had met his match this time. He was an expert in lying. If she saw through his lies easily, then he would be in a very passive position. The people of the Soaring Dragon Continent were really abnormal. They had all kinds of inherent skills. They even had the ability to distinguish between truth and lies through hearing. Nonsense. I think you're just an idiot. You don't even know how to lie. The royal swordswoman widened her big eyes and stared at Yu Yang with a gaze as sharp as a sword. The wisdom fruit can only be fed to beasts. If a normal warrior ate it, they would become as stupid as a beast. Do you understand? Or are you purposely spouting nonsense? The wisdom fruit can only be fed to beasts. Yu Yang was shocked. He had heard of the wisdom fruit before, but he didn't know that humans couldn't eat it. Don't tell me that you've trained so hard that your brain is just muscles. The royal swordswoman realized that this brat was speaking the truth. She was sweating profusely at his basic knowledge. He didn't even know such a basic thing. How did he grow up? It was probably because this brat was infatuated with combat skills that he didn't care about beasts at all. That's why he didn't even know this kind of basic knowledge that an 8-year-old child would know. But the strange thing was that there weren't many people in the soaring dragon continent who could train their combat skills to his level. This brat felt even more dangerous than Feng Qi. It was impossible for a person like him to be raised by a normal family. If he came from a big family, how could he not even understand this kind of knowledge that even an idiot would know? The royal swordswoman was at a loss. The brat in front of her was acting too contradictory. He didn't seem like a normal person at all. He seemed more like an abnormal person with astonishing strength, but no basic knowledge. I can give you my wisdom fruit, but you have to promise me a favor. The royal swordswoman turned around and stared at Feng Rui. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and take out the lustrous branch. I've seen stupid people, but I've never seen someone as stupid as you. Bringing the wisdom fruit and the lustrous branch to the auction house to be auctioned. Has your brain turned into tofu dregs? Also, why aren't you peeling off this ugly beard on your face? Don't you know that not only does it not look good, it also looks very stupid? Luckily, you're my brother-in-law. If you were my fiancé, I would have killed you with 2 slashes. Don't be angry, I'll give it to you, all right? Feng Rui peeled off the beard in a flurry and quickly took out a brocade box from his bosom. The royal swordswoman snatched it and stared at him again. You should reflect on yourself. You're already an adult, yet you're not even a little serious. You even formed the Windstorm mercenary group with a kid. I think you must have eaten your fill and have nothing better to do. The big loli who was hiding behind the door cutely stuck out half of her head and argued softly. Sister Qian, we formed the Windstorm mercenary group to prove ourselves. However, when the royal swordswoman glared at her, she immediately shrunk to the corner of the door and turned into a kitten. Yu Yang was dumbstruck. Amazing, as expected of the invincible royal swordswoman. He didn't have time to react before the royal swordwoman glared at him with her sharp eyes again. Why are you standing there like a fool? Put down the little hydra and come with me. Yu Yang was stunned in his heart. Why did this girl even care about him? Where to? Yu Yang knew that following this girl wasn't a good thing, but the fruit of wisdom and the lustrous branch were both in her hands. You're a little weird. I have some things I want to ask you. Don't worry, I'll give you the fruit of wisdom and the lustrous branch after I finish my questions. The royal swordswoman threw down these words and walked out the door. The huge sword on her back clanged against her armor as she walked. Give me the lustrous branch first. With it in my hands, my heart will be at ease and my answers will be smooth too. Yu Yang hurriedly chased after her. He thought to himself that as long as he got the lustrous branch, he would immediately run away. He would run far away from this dangerous royal swordswoman. He had to think of another way to get the fruit of wisdom. Otherwise, if he was interrogated by her, she might even reveal his secrets. If she was a normal person, then it would be fine. However, she was a royal swordswoman who knew how to discern the truth from hearing. If he couldn't lie to her, then it would be easy for his secrets to be exposed. Before Yu Yang could finish his words, he suddenly realized that the royal swordswoman was standing less than 3 inches away from him. She was staring at him with her jade-black, rouge tiger eyes. He immediately felt a pang of guilt. This royal swordswoman was too scary. She had the ability to discern the truth from hearing, which was his nemesis. If he couldn't lie, or if everything he said was misunderstood by the other party, then this kind of life would be too tragic. He could only hear the royal swordswoman snorting. Liar! You never speak a single word of truth. Do you think I can't tell? You're preparing to run away. I won't give you the lustrous branch and the fruit of wisdom unless you answer my questions honestly. Yes, I guarantee that I'll be even more honest than Honest Zhang, who always sells coffins at a 20% discount in Black Rock City. Yu Yang felt sweat forming on his forehead. You're lying again. There's no such person in Black Rock City. The royal swordswoman suddenly laughed. Her laughter was like a blossoming flower on a sunny day, like the sun breaking through the dawn. How do you know? Yu Yang was surprised. Could it be that he really couldn't lie in front of this girl? That's because there's no coffin shop in Black Rock City. Their custom is not to bury the dead, but to cremate them. The royal swordswoman gave Yu Yang affirmation. It's not as good as what you say sometimes. Although none of your words are true, they're quite amusing. Do you often use these words to coax other girls? Forget it, these are not important. I just want to know, which family did you come from? I'm not a descendant of a family, but a farmer. My 18 generations of ancestors were all grassroots farmers. They wore plain clothes and wore white clothes. I've never been an official before. Yu Yang gave another example to prove. Just look at my pale face. You can tell that I'm malnourished. My daily life is hard, and I don't eat much meat. Then look at my calloused hands. You can tell that I usually work hard in the fields. I work hard just to eat 2 meals a day. I'm exposed to the sun and drenched in the rain. If you don't believe me, I can even write a poem to prove it. Listen carefully. Hoeing rice at noon, sweat dripping onto the soil. Who would know that every grain on the plate is hard work? Tell me, if I'm not a farmer, how would I have such a deep understanding of the hardships of farming? The royal swordswoman listened quietly and couldn't help but frown. Yu Yang had done it on purpose. He had talked for a long time and even recited a poem. His goal was to disturb this girl's listening ability. If she was attracted by the poem, then her attention would naturally be diverted. As long as her curiosity was aroused, he believed that he could fool her however he wanted. Yu Yang was immensely pleased with himself in his heart. He didn't expect the royal swordswoman's words to make him fall to the ground. I'm very surprised. I thought you were some family's rice worm. I didn't expect you to know about these things. There are farmers in this world. Did you plagiarize someone else's poem? The poem is not bad, but you don't have any feelings when you read it. You can't empathize with the farmers. In the 4 great families, there's almost no one I don't know, but why haven't I seen you before? As for those small families, it's impossible for them to have good combat skills. It's even more impossible for them to nurture you to this level. What's your name? Titan. Yu Yang definitely couldn't tell her his real name. This girl was definitely not someone to be trifled with. It was better to stay far away from her. If it wasn't for the fact that she also had a set of combat skills, it wouldn't be easy for her to snatch it away. Yu Yang would have already snatched the brocade box that contained the lustrous branch long ago and escaped without a trace. Yu Yang was thinking about how to snatch the brocade box, but the royal swordswoman seemed to be able to see through his thoughts. She immediately kept the brocade box in her bosom. Yu Yang was just about to find a place with no one around to rape this girl before killing her. Suddenly, a girl from the Warriors Guild ran over and intimately hugged onto Yu Yang's arm, shouting excitedly, "It's really you, Xiao-san. Why did you also come to Tong Tian Tower?" When Yu Yang heard this, his mind went blank. Oh no, he didn't even know her. Who was this girl? Based on her tone and actions, it seemed like her relationship with the pitiful guy wasn't shallow. Could she be the Miss Shui who broke off the engagement? Or was she the pitiful guy's secret lover? But the pitiful guy's diary didn't mention such a girl at all. Who was this girl? Chapter 82. The royal swordswoman was also very surprised. Looking at the girl who was hugging Yu Yang, she asked, "Sister Yu, do you know him?" That pretty girl with bright eyes and white teeth stretched out her white orchid hands and caressed Yu Yang's head lovingly, revealing an incomparably joyful expression. Qian, this is our family, Xiao-san. He usually stays at home and doesn't go out at all. I never thought that I would be able to meet him here today. Xiao-san, this is Princess Sisai. Yu Yang was suddenly enlightened when he heard the introduction of this soft-spoken, gentle-looking girl. She was not a secret lover at all. This gentle girl was his cousin, Yu. Luckily, she took the initiative to come out and greet Yu Yang. Otherwise, the guy from another world would definitely not recognize her, and he might even reveal some flaws. Hearing that it was his cousin, Yu Yang heaved a sigh of relief. His cousin was fine, but what he was most afraid of was the pitiful guy's secret lover, the kind who had sworn undying love and called him Xiao Tian under the moonlight. If he didn't recognize her, then it would be over. As for this royal swordswoman, Yu Yang also secretly thought that it was a close shave. This girl's listening ability was indeed terrifying, but luckily she didn't have the ability to see through the depths of one's heart or to resonate with one's thoughts. She could only tell if he was telling the truth or not. As long as he insisted on not telling the truth, he would be a big con and a small con, and she wouldn't be able to do anything to him. At the very least, he still had the right to speak. It wouldn't be that easy for her to use words to probe his secrets. Now, the one who had to be careful was this cousin of his. He definitely couldn't reveal anything about his family. Princess Sisai. Hearing his cousin Yu Yu's introduction, Yu Yang knew that he didn't know this royal swordwoman. His heart calmed down. Luckily, she wasn't the Shui family's miss. Otherwise, he would be sweating to death. So this royal swordswoman was really a princess of the royal family. He just didn't know which royal princess she was from, Xia, Tianluo, or Zijin. You don't know Princess Sisai? This time, even cousin Yu Yu was surprised. Among the same generation, there was actually someone who didn't know Princess Sisai. As expected of the Yu clan's third young master who never stepped out of his house. So you are that trash of the Yu clan? That third young master? Before this, the royal swordswoman was extremely puzzled about Yu Yang. After hearing Yu Yu's introduction, she immediately felt as if all her doubts had been answered. No wonder this brat was called trash by his family and the world. A fellow who majored in combat skills like him and not in summoning. It would be strange if he wasn't called trash by others. Furthermore, his basic knowledge towards summoned beasts was simply rubbish. He didn't even know that the wisdom fruit could only be fed to beasts and that humans would become idiots after eating it. It was no wonder that his family members were so disappointed in him and thought that he was trash. However, was this brat really trash? Based on his sixth sense, this brat's hidden strength was probably not below his own. If he combined it with an outstanding beast, he would definitely be able to climb to the peak of the realm of a warrior. Thinking about it again, it made sense. His father, Yu Qiu, had climbed up to a level 7 overlord before he was 40 and was already close to the innate realm. How could his son be trash? This Yu clan's third young master definitely had a super ranker guiding him from behind. It was just like how she had received her master's teachings. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to have such shocking strength. His low profile was probably something his master had purposely told him to do. The royal swordswoman looked at the crescent blade on Yu Yang's back and Hui Jin on his waist, and was even more certain of her guess. Although she faintly felt that this brat should have more secrets, the royal swordswoman did not intend to investigate further. She knew that super rankers all had some strange habits. Maybe the Yu clan's third young master's master had purposely told him to keep a low profile and then amaze the world with a single brilliant feat at the right time. It was just like how her own master forbade her from showing her summoned beast to anyone, even her father. If it wasn't like that, how could this trash third young master hide in his house for more than 10 years? If it wasn't because he purposely kept a low profile, how could he be willing to be called trash and not show his strength to the world? My name is Jun Yuan, Jun Wu Yu's 18th daughter. I don't like people calling me princess. My friends usually call me by my nickname Qian Qian. As for you, your situation is a little special. You have a glib tongue. I will only consider letting you call me that after you tell me the truth for the first time. After the royal swordswoman finished speaking, she turned to Yu Yu and complained, Sister Yu, this little brother of yours doesn't even speak a single word of truth. Talking to him gives me a headache. Yu Yu hurriedly comforted her softly. Qian Qian, everyone has the awareness to protect themselves. Little Sin usually stays at home and has never seen the world. Maybe he is afraid of you, so he doesn't dare to speak the truth. Little San apologized to Princess Qian Qian. What Princess Qian Qian hated the most was hearing other people's mouths full of lies, because once she heard it, she would have a headache. Friends must be sincere, there is no need to hide. Furthermore, if you have any little secrets, Princess Sisai won't take the initiative to find out about them. If you don't speak a single word of truth, it's not a good habit. Yes, I promise to speak the truth and do the real thing. I promise to be truer than pearls. Yu Yang's face was serious, but his heart was blooming with joy. Speaking the truth to a girl? That was courting death. Now that he knew that this girl couldn't listen to lies, it was really good news. In the future, he would only speak lies and give her a splitting headache. In the future, she would have a headache whenever she saw him. This way he would be safe. Yu Yang, who had bad intentions, finally found out the royal swordswoman's weakness with great difficulty. He felt as if he had occupied a nameless high ground on the battlefield. He suddenly had the mentality to turn the tide of the battle. The pressure that the royal swordswoman brought was swept away, and he even had the urge to tease the royal swordswoman. Now let's test it. Where did you get this crescent blade? When the royal swordswoman heard that this brat was lying, she sweated profusely in her heart. However, she still decided to give him a chance to speak the truth. I picked it up. When Yu Yang lied, his face did not even blush or blink. Where did you pick it up? The royal swordswoman continued to ask. In front of my house. Yu Yang replied. Is the battle skill that you practice the Yu clan spear technique or the mystical weapon? The royal swordswoman almost fell to the ground. There was even a demon general's weapon in front of her house. However, she couldn't do anything to this shameless brat, so she could only change her question. I practiced the beheading iron blade technique. When Yu Yang said this, the royal swordswoman and Yu both fell to the ground. The beheading iron blade technique was trash to the point that even mercenaries didn't want to practice it. If there was a ranking of the worst battle skills in the world, then the beheading iron blade technique would definitely be a strong contender for first place. The royal swordswoman paused for a moment, then asked again, Where did you get your little hydra from? Yu Yang acted as if he was saying, My name is Zhang Lao Shi, and replied very seriously, I stole it. The royal swordswoman didn't give Yu Yang a chance to think, and continued to ask, Who did you steal it from? Who knew that Yu Yang didn't even need to think when he lied. He opened his mouth and said, Sikong Zhaixing. At first, Yu thought that he was lying, but when she heard that he had a name and surname, she thought that he was telling the truth. She couldn't help but be shocked. Xiao San, how could you steal other people's things? What's more, it's a good beast like the Hydra. Hurry up and get it back to someone else. The royal swordswoman was sweating profusely in her heart. Forget about the existence of a person like Sikong Zhaixing. How could a Hydra be stolen? However, she was a little impressed by this Yu clan's third young master's ability to lie without blinking. This brat was a natural-born liar. He wouldn't even pay for it with his life. Do you think you're a handsome guy or an ugly guy? The royal swordswoman was prepared to use facts to prove his lies. As long as he opened his mouth, she would be able to expose him. I actually look very ordinary. I'm only a little more handsome than Feng Qi Sha, Yin Pejun, and Shui Tan Lang. Yu Yang was very modest. How much is a little? The royal swordswoman asked. A little is 99,999 times. When Yu Yang said this, the dizzy Yu collapsed. Why aren't you 100,000 times more handsome? The royal swordswoman was curious. If they were disfigured, then it would be 100,000 times more handsome. When Yu Yang said this, the royal swordswoman also felt dizzy, as if she was about to collapse. You mean, compared to you, there's no difference between them and disfigured? Seeing this brat's serious expression, the royal swordswoman sighed in her heart. What a shameless person. How could that be? Yin Pejun and the others are much better than disfigured people. Yu Yang shook his head in disagreement. When the royal swordswoman heard this, she was completely speechless. Seeing Yu Yang's radiant smile, she suddenly had the urge to punch him and send him flying. She had seen shameless people before, but she had never seen such a shameless person before. How could there be someone in this world who didn't even speak a single word of truth? If being low-key was his master's request, then this shameless personality was definitely innate to him. It had nothing to do with his master's teachings. Yu knew that if she asked this way, she wouldn't be able to get a single word of truth out of him, even if she asked 10,000 times. This naughty brother of hers was purposely teasing Princess Sisai. She hurriedly changed the topic and asked, Xiao San, do you have a team to train in Tongtian Tower? How about you form a team with us? These words gave Yu Yang a big fright. If he formed a team with Yu, what if she asked about his family? Furthermore, there was still this royal swordswoman who could distinguish truth from falsehood. He had to be careful with every word he said. This kind of life was too tragic. It was still better to train with Yi Kong, Fatty, and the others. Furthermore, there was still Anan, that little girl waiting for him to tease. His blissful life had just begun. Thinking about this, Yu Yong hurriedly shook his head. Fourth mother told me to find little sister Yubing. Now I'm planning to bring her back. This princess, Sisai, forcefully snatched a commoner girl. No, she forcefully snatched my wisdom fruit and lustrous branch. Those were gifts I gave to Yubing. After listening for so long, I finally heard a sentence of truth. Although there were still some half-truths, it's already very rare. The royal swordswoman suddenly let out a surprised sigh, as if the sky had suddenly cleared up after the continuous rain. She patted Yu Yang's shoulder. I couldn't tell that a shameless fellow like you was actually a good brother. A good brother should be holding the brocade box containing the lustrous branch and a wisdom fruit. Yu Yang reminded her that she had snatched his treasures. If she didn't quickly hand them over, he would have to kill her to get the treasures, rape her first before killing her, rape her again before killing her. I can give you the lustrous branch, seeing that you spoke the truth. The royal swordswoman passed the brocade box that still had the warmth and fragrance of a virgin to Yu Yang. Where's the wisdom fruit? Yu Yang spread out his hands and continued to ask for it. Chapter 83. The wisdom fruit will only be taken out when you tell the other truth. The royal swordswoman's words made Yu Yang go crazy. If not for you being here, he would have used his Hui Jin magic blade to cut her down. Xiao San, the wisdom fruit is gone. Princess Sisai had brought it back for my Aquarius moon lady to eat. I didn't know that seventh sister wanted it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have wasted such a precious wisdom fruit. Don't worry, I will go to the third floor of Tong Tian Tower with Princess Sisai to complete the World Tree quest. I will definitely bring back a wisdom fruit for seventh sister. Yu felt very guilty after hearing this. She pulled Yu Yang's arm lightly and asked, "Where is seventh sister now? Why isn't she with you?" "She's training in the Blackstone Labyrinth. It's fine if we don't have the wisdom fruit. I'll think of another way." The wisdom fruit had already been eaten by Yu Yu's beast. Yu Yang finally gave up, although he was more inclined to give it to his sister Yubing. But the royal swordswoman had already given it to his cousin Yu Yu. Furthermore, it had already been eaten by that Aquarius moon lady. Even if he wanted it, he couldn't get it back. Yu Yang saw that the royal swordswoman was glaring at him with her tiger-like eyes, as if she wanted to see through him. He hurriedly thought about how he could slip away and escape. He didn't feel safe staying with this girl. It was better to leave as soon as possible. As for his cousin Yu Yu, he shouldn't interact too much with her for the time being. It would be best if she didn't see through him. Speaking of which, our team is really lacking a little thief to scout the way. Bring Yubing with you. We'll go do the World Tree quest together. The royal swordswoman seemed to have made a decision. Your Highness, although obtaining the honor of being the royal family's Pathfinder thief is the greatest honor of my life, please allow me to go to the toilet first. There was no way Yu Yang would team up with this dangerous royal swordswoman. He immediately used the excuse of urinating to escape. Before the royal swordswoman could catch him, he had already slipped away. Even if he didn't have the wisdom fruit, the lustrous branch of the Tree of Life was enough. When Yu Bing's Trant warrior had leveled up, he would think of a way to bring her to the second floor of Tong Tian Tower, or even the third floor of Tong Tian Tower. Since he could obtain the wisdom fruit by completing the World Tree mission, it meant that there was still a way to obtain it. Team up with this royal swordswoman? He might as well fight it alone. With an outsider like her around, people like Little One Li, the barbaric Cow Shadow, and the golden thorny flower could not be exposed. How would Hui Tai Lang have any battle strength left? However, the third floor of Tong Tian Tower's World Tree's mission did not seem to be that simple. Yu Yang remembered that the pitiful guy's diary seemed to have recorded that the World Tree was an extremely long 36-round mission. The last round could only be completed by reaching the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. In the entire Yu clan, only the pitiful guy's father, Yu Qiu, had completed it in 100 years. It could be said that the difficulty of the World Tree's chain mission was comparable to the 12 zodiac temples and the 3 world shrines in the 2nd floor of Tong Tian Tower. Seems like obtaining the wisdom fruit was not an easy task. No wonder the wisdom fruit was so precious. After the royal swordswoman saw Yu Yong leave, she sighed slightly. Sister Yu, do the elders in your clan really think that your brother is trash? Are they all dizzy from old age? Yu Yu shook her head lightly. I don't know either. It seems like little San has changed from before. In the past, he was always quiet and low-key, but now he is very confident. His face is glowing and full of vigor. If I didn't meet him in Tong Tian Tower, I wouldn't believe that he had such a side to him. Maybe it's because he successfully contracted a grimoire. He finally contracted a grimoire and washed away the name of trash. So his whole person became lively. I don't understand either, but this is a good thing. I'm also happy for him. Now that I see him like this, I don't have to worry about him jumping into the river to commit suicide anymore. The royal swordswoman frowned and thought for a long time before asking curiously, why would a person like him take the initiative to break off the engagement with the Shui clan's girl? Regarding this, Yu Yu is also puzzled. I don't understand either. The strangest thing is that not long after he broke off the engagement, he jumped into the river to commit suicide. I feel that there must be something fishy about this. With her six senses, the royal swordswoman felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't pinpoint what was wrong. When little San jumped into the river, I was in the middle of an exam. When I received this bad news, I almost fainted. I was about to rush over with Sister Yubing to see what happened. But before I could move, fourth uncle had already sent someone to bring news that he had been saved and survived. He even managed to contract a grimoire. Yu also felt that the whole thing was a little strange, but she was more happy that her brother had successfully contracted a grimoire. This brother who was looked down upon by others could finally wash away the name of trash. There's still something wrong. I feel that your brother has a lot of secrets. Maybe there's an innate rancor behind him teaching him combat skills. His situation is similar to mine. When the royal swordswoman said this, Yu Yu was greatly surprised. It can't be. How could little Sam be like you? Yu Yu knew that this Princess Sisai was the combat skill genius that the Jun family had been waiting for 1,000 years. If she wasn't a girl, but a man, she would definitely be the next emperor. Even in the soaring dragon continent, where men were superior to women, Xia's Jun family, who were the most traditional, had been discussing whether they should change the laws set by their ancestors and let a woman take over as the regent or the regent, paving the way for Princess Qian to ascend to the throne and become the first female empress in 1,000 years. If it wasn't for the opposition of the ministers and the fact that the current emperor of Xia, Jun Wuyu, was healthy and in the prime of his life, with more than 20 princes to choose from, then Princess Sisai's path to becoming the empress would have been directly placed on the country's agenda. Since young, Princess Sisai not only received the guidance of the two heavenly imperial guardians, she also had an extremely mysterious master. She was also the only princess who could sit beside the emperor and have a meal. Not to mention the crown prince. Even the imperial concubine Jieyu and other favored concubines could only be envious of that position. A peerless Princess Sisai who surpassed the 3 great killing stars and became a level 6 beginner, elder, at the tender age of 20 actually said that her younger brother, who was laughed at by the whole world and seen as trash by the whole family, was the same as her. This was really unbelievable. You couldn't believe her ears at all. Is this true? I suspect that your third uncle didn't die in the battle that year. Maybe he was injured and hid behind the scenes, secretly teaching his son. How could a genius warrior like him, the most outstanding genius of the 4 great families, die in a battle? My old man has always believed that your third uncle didn't die. He told me this many times, and he also took out the battlefield records and analyzed them repeatedly. Although the situation at that time was extremely bad, your third uncle wasn't an ordinary martial artist. He definitely had a way to escape at the end. Sister Yu, your brother is definitely not trash. He just isn't as famous as your third uncle. I think he is just a little brat who hides behind people and keeps a low profile to train. The royal swordswoman made her deduction. I also hope that third uncle is still alive. His death made Grandpa grow old and Xiao, San, become an orphan. If not for fourth uncle and fourth mother's protection, I'm afraid he would have already been. Yu sighed softly. Sometimes I wish Xiao San was trash. At least that way, he could live a good life, marry a wife, and have children, living a normal life. Like third uncle, the family has always placed high hopes on him. In order to revitalize the Yu clan, he has been fighting nonstop. If Xiao San had the ability, I would rather he be low-key like he is now. He definitely wouldn't be like third uncle, whose name shook the world and was envied by millions of people. In the end, he was destroyed by others. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. The royal swordswoman smiled, then frowned slightly. However, I think we should go and see the Shui clan's girl and see what's going on with the annulment of the engagement. I feel that something is wrong with this matter. Qian, thank you. I was just about to go and talk to the Shui clan sister. Yu looked at the direction where Yu Yang disappeared. I hope it's just a misunderstanding. Yu Yang originally wanted to teleport to the 10,000-year ancient oak tree to meet up with Anan and Yu Bing. However, he discovered that he had used up all the teleportation scrolls. In the end, there was only one left to teleport to Hui Tai Lang's side. However, Yu Yang didn't want to use it unless it was absolutely necessary. Setting up a teleportation circle on a living being's body could be said to be very simple. However, it could also be said to be extremely complicated. The first condition was that the targeted living being must have the same aura as the person who set up the teleportation circle. When the teleportation circle was activated, the targeted living being must use its spirit to guide the person who was teleporting. When setting up the teleportation circle, the requirement for spiritual energy was extremely high. Even though Yu Yang's spiritual energy had reached the innate realm, he still felt dizzy after setting up one. The third point was that the further the teleportation target was, the more barriers and spaces it had to pass through. The stronger the teleportation target was, the more energy it would consume to guide the living being. Yu Yang reckoned that if he used a teleportation scroll to escape to Hui Tai Lang's side in the demon abyss, Hui Tai Lang would definitely vomit blood and faint. If he teleported a demon king, Hui Tai Lang's body might even explode. Of course, Yu Yang still couldn't completely understand what this mysterious space law was like. He could only vaguely feel a little bit of it. Without the teleportation scroll, Yu Yang searched his body again. His money pouch was as clean as if it had been washed. The 10s of gold he had saved up and the 100 gold he had received from the rewards had all been spent on buying beast eggs and teleportation scrolls. Without money, it would be difficult to move even an inch. Yu Yang decided to make some money. Of course, he wasn't planning to steal from them empty-handed. These mercenaries were mostly poor people. They only had money to buy cheap wine. Usually, they would drink wine, sleep when they were drunk, and then get drunk again. When they really had no money, they would go and accept some simple missions, exchange their money, and then come back to buy wine. Day after day, this was the life of a mercenary. Yu Yang thought for a while and went straight to the 3rd floor of the Warriors Guild. This place was practically a forbidden zone for mercenaries, because only those who had made special contributions to the country or had achieved great merits had the qualifications to come up here to hand over missions. Welcome, young brave warrior. May I ask if you are here to accept a mission, or have already completed a mission and are here to record your merits? The attendants in charge of welcoming the guests were not the same as the warriors in armor on the 1st and 2nd floor below. Instead, they were 2 beautiful women wearing tight, sexy dresses that revealed a large portion of their snow-white breasts. Their attitudes were respectful and humble, and their voices were soft and sweet. Listening to them gave people a special sense of accomplishment, as if they were great heroes who had won a great battle and returned home. Can I exchange my military achievement for gold here? Yu Yang asked a question that probably no one had asked in the past 10 years. You want to exchange your military achievements for gold? When the 2 beauties heard this, they were shocked. They also had the urge to strangle this masked thief alive. I think I've seen it before. The reward for killing a demon general is 100 gold. Is that right? Yu Yang asked again. Yes, that's right. The 2 beauties almost fainted. who would lack money for a ranker who could kill a demon general, who would use military achievements to exchange for gold. That kind of dishonorable action was something that only boorish mercenaries would do. It was not easy to kill a demon general. This was an honor that brought glory to his ancestors, yet he wanted to use this honor to exchange for gold. Was there something wrong with this brat's brain? Then I'll have to trouble you to exchange for 500 gold for me. Yu Yang handed over a crystal card. Heavens! When the two beauties saw this, they immediately fainted. How could there be a poor bastard who used a crystal card in this world? Did this brat steal it? Chapter 84. Whether it was a bronze, silver, gold, or crystal card, none of them could be counterfeited. The testing device was very simple. As long as one touched the achievement crystal pillar, it would be able to accurately display the relevant information. The two girls discovered that the crystal card was emitting a faint white light, and realized that it really was this brat's card. Immediately, they retracted their contempt. Those who could use the crystal card were definitely not ordinary people. They must be descendants of great clans or members of the royal family with boundless prospects. When they looked down again, they suddenly discovered that the record on the crystal card was, "Killed 6 demon generals." The two girls were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. Let alone killing a demon general. Even killing a low-leveled green-skinned monster was enough for mercenaries to brag about for a few years. This brat had actually killed 6 demon generals in one go. What kind of god was he? His name was Titan? How come I had never heard of his existence before? Even the 3 great killing stars did not have this kind of achievement points. This little thief, whose name had not even been registered for more than half a month, had actually killed 6 demon generals. How is this possible? I also know that achievement points cannot all be exchanged for gold coins. Therefore, you only need to exchange them for the achievement points for killing 5 demon generals. Yi Yang had heard from Yi Kong before that mercenaries who exchanged all their achievement points for money to drink would be punished by their country once they were found out. In serious cases, their mercenary title might even be revoked and their mercenary rank would be lowered. But if you don't exchange them and let us report it to the country, with this kind of glory, the Warrior Hall will definitely reward you handsomely. I dare say that it won't just be 500 gold coins. Why do you need to exchange them for gold coins? The slightly taller beauty hurriedly advised Yu Yang not to exchange them. If you're lacking money now, then I can lend you some. I don't dare to say that I have a lot, but I still have 10 gold coins. The slightly shorter beauty with fairer skin almost cried. Yu Yang was speechless when he heard this. At this moment, a man in a white robe swaggered out from the inner room. His bearing was like that of a famous scholar, leisurely, unhurried, and graceful. He waved the green sandalwood fan in his hand, and he had the appearance of a tranquil and aloof expert. The two beauties hurriedly rushed over, begging him to deal with Yu Yang. Most importantly, they wanted Yu Yang to not exchange his battle achievements. No matter what, he must not exchange his battle achievements. That was an absolute honor, and they shouldn't insult it. Even if money was tight right now, he definitely couldn't give up on his honor. When the scholarly white-robed man heard this, he raised his hand to stop the two women from arguing. He shook his fan and walked to Yu Yang. With his nose in the air, he was incomparably arrogant. The moment he opened his mouth, he lectured, "I say, young man, don't come here to show off just because you killed a green-skinned monster, okay? Actually, I understand you young people very well. You want to be famous, you want others to cheer for you, and you want beauties to scream because of your appearance. However, not everyone can become the 3 great killing stars, and not everyone can be so outstanding. The most important thing for a person is to be clear about himself and determine his own position. For example, if you are a thief, then you should do your job as a thief. Honestly, you should lead the way for others or inquire about information. Don't be sensational, and don't come here to exchange some gold coins just because you killed a green-skinned monster. The green-skinned monster is only a level 1 monster. Killing one is only worth 50 copper coins. We can only exchange it for battle achievements that are higher than gold coins. No, we've never supported exchanging battle achievements. I've seen too many thieves like you who are so proud of killing a green-skinned creature. You can brag to your companions outside the warrior gathering. That's your honor. We won't oppose it. But it's not right for you to come here and show off. Although I'm not a battle-type ranker, I have killed 5 longhorn demons in the past. Those were level 3 monsters. Have you seen me boasting to others? Never. I'm not that kind of person. You have to be low-key, understand? Young man. Yu Yang thought that he had seen wrongly before. Why did this guy speak so much like Fatty Hai? Could it be that this guy was Fatty Hai's relative? The two beauties hurriedly reminded the white-robed man who looked like a scholar but was actually a talkative person. Director, he did not kill a green-skinned monster. The white-robed man snorted disdainfully. Then it is a yellow-skinned monster? Yellow-skinned monsters are the same as green-skinned monsters. They are both level 1 monsters. Although they can throw stones, it is nothing. No, it is not a yellow-skinned monster either. The two beauties prepared to explain in detail, but were stopped by the white-robed man. Even killing a level 2 long-toothed demon is nothing. I have killed many of these monsters in the past. I have killed 9 of them. I have never boasted to others, not even once. I am such a low-key person. Who would know that I have killed 5 level 3 longhorn demons and 9 level 2 long-toothed demons? No one. I am just this low-key, indifferent to fame and fortune. The white-robed man who looked like a scholar immediately waved his green sandalwood fan. Yu Yang suddenly had the urge to beat the guy in front of him up. That is not at all, Director. He did not kill a level 2 long-toothed demon. The two beauties lowered their heads in frustration. It was really embarrassing to have such a superior. Then it is a level 2 rotten zombie? The white-robed man revealed a face of confidence. Rotten zombies are easy to kill. Other than their huge size and endurance, they are useless. I have killed countless of them when I was in a team. If I had not forgotten to bring my card, I would have killed at least a dozen of them. It is not a level 2 zombie, nor a level 3 longhorn demon, but a demon. Before the two beauties could finish, the white-robed man waved his hand to stop them. Wait, you're talking about a level 3 demon hound? Hell, demon hound? The white-robed man's face finally showed a little surprise. No, the two beauties were already powerless. Could he let them finish? That is a level 4 demon giant. The white-robed man was shocked. It is a level 5 demon general. The two beauties were sweating. They finally had the chance to tell the truth, but it seemed a little too late. This was because Yu Yang's expression was already very bad. He had the urge to beat someone up. Demon general? How is this possible? His small body is not even enough to withstand a slap from a demon general. After the white-robed man recovered from his shock, he expressed his serious doubts. He then turned his face to criticize the two beauties. Did you see wrongly? How could you let him get away with this kind of thing? You should be able to tell with a glance. How could a little thief like him kill a demon general? Do you think demon generals are made of tofu? Director, he did not kill 1 demon general, but 6. The slightly taller beauty powerlessly replied. Having such a superior was really too embarrassing. Well, what? Did I hear wrongly? The white-robed man felt as if the world was spinning. I don't know if you heard wrongly or not, but we did not say wrongly. The slightly shorter beauty with fair skin replied with certainty. This is not possible. This is definitely not possible. The white-robed man felt as if he was still dreaming. Hey, it's finally my turn to say a few words. Please quickly exchange gold coins for me. I'm still in a hurry. Yu Yang had the urge to hack the fellow in front of him to death. It was a pity that killing was not allowed in the 1st and 2nd floors of Tong Tian Tower. Otherwise, Yu Yang would definitely use his Hui Ji magic blade to cut him down. Yes, I'm sorry. The two beauties held back their tears as they exchanged gold coins for Yu Yang. They painfully erased the battle achievements recorded on the crystal card, only keeping the number of enemies killed. He used a crystal card? The white-robed man remained in a petrified state. Only after Yu Yang had left for a long time did he recover. He asked with a trembling voice, how could he have a crystal card? You two are being impudent. A ranker with a crystal card has graced us with his presence, yet you two have no manners at all. You've completely disgraced our honor level 3. Hey, what did he come here for just now? Exchange his battle achievements for gold coins. The two beauties also wanted to use a very small knife to slowly stab this infuriating superior to death. How could you let him do this? Maybe he was just short of money at the moment. How could you let him exchange his battle achievements for gold coins? That's an honor. Do you know what honor is? That's something more important than life in a man's heart. That's a kind of supreme pride. That's right. How many battle achievements did he exchange for? What? 5 demon generals? Could it be that what I heard just now wasn't a dream? The white-robed man suddenly complained to the two beauties. Why didn't you inform me? If it was me, I would definitely stop him. Do you know that you've ruined a man's honor? You've polluted the stink of money with your sacred battle achievements. Aya, who hit my head? The white-robed man turned around and saw Yu Yang standing behind him. He asked curiously, "Why did you come back?" "No, it's you. Do you have any instructions?" Yu Yang smiled and said, "Lie down, raise your, but as much as possible." The white-robed man was stunned. He asked in confusion, Why do I want to do this? Is there any special meaning in doing this?" The smile on Yu Yang's face became even more radiant. He shook his head and waved his hands. "There's no meaning, but it would be more convenient for me to kick you but that way. You don't know, after walking out for so long, I still feel that if I don't beat you up, I'll be unhappy for the whole day. So, can I trouble you to lie down and raise your butt right now? F***CK your lungs. I'm already very unhappy, and you're still cawing like a crow. Tell me, aren't you looking for a beating?" Once Yu Yang's anger flared up, his expression changed faster than flipping a page, and he immediately made his move. The white-robed man was knocked down by his random punches. He didn't even have the time to beg for mercy or struggle. He was beaten up by Yu Yang until his teeth fell all over the floor. He was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. The two beauties were extremely excited as they clapped and cheered. Actually, they had also wanted to beat him up for a long time, but they never had the chance. "Do you want to try? It feels pretty good." Yu Yang invited them enthusiastically. "No, just the two of us will pass." The two girls started to decline, but they couldn't stand Yu Yang's strong encouragement. In the end, they also came up and kicked him a few times. They were so excited that their faces were red, and they were extremely excited. "You guys take your time. I have something to do, so I'll be leaving first." Yu Yang felt extremely good after beating the other party up. He slipped down the stairs like a wisp of smoke. 10 minutes later, City Mistress Fallen Flowers came to the 3rd floor of the honorary hall and asked what had happened. The two beautiful waitresses were scared out of their wits and hurriedly told her everything that had happened. When City Mistress Fallen Flowers heard this, she flew into a rage and shouted at the white-robed man who was covered with cuts and bruises, "Lie down immediately and raise your butt. I order you immediately." "Why?" The white-robed man was dumbfounded. "Why did all rankers have this kind of request?" "Because I'm also very unhappy, and I also want to beat you up." City Mistress Fallen Flowers angrily kicked the white-robed man to the ground and beat him up. At the same time, she ordered the two beauties to beat him up for her. "You guys beat him up for me first. I'll chase after him to take a look. Maybe this Titan is that brat. Is he really short of money? Forget it. I don't want to think about it anymore. I'll just chase after him to take a look first." Chapter 85. Yu Yang stored his gold and bought various items. He was about to teleport to the Star's domain to continue the Blackstone Labyrinth quest. He guessed that Inan and Yu Bing had already reached the 10,000-year ancient oak tree and were probably doing the 10,000-year ancient oak tree quest. With Huitai laying there, they would be at ease doing the quest while waiting for him. As for Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others, Yu Yang guessed that they would only reach the 10,000-year ancient oak tree a day later. So if he rushed to meet them now, he would still have a lot of free time. So it's really you. City Mistress Fallen Flowers caught up from behind and stretched out her hand to pull Yu Yang's ear. "Little thief, why do you want to run away when you see me?" "City Mistress, please have mercy. I didn't do anything bad." Yu Yang quickly dodged her slender fingers. Yu Yang saw that City Mistress Fallen Flowers could easily find him and was slightly surprised. But when he saw the cute three-tailed snow fox sniffing around City Mistress Fallenflower's ankle, he suddenly realized that this little spirit fox was not only good at fighting, it was also good at tracking. Yu Yang just didn't understand why City Mistress Fallenflowers was looking for him. City Mistress Fallenflowers frowned as she looked at the Hui Jin magic blade on Yu Yang's waist. She said with a hint of annoyance, "You idiot! How can you exchange your battle achievements for gold? Why didn't you look for me if you needed money? Even if I'm not very rich, I'm still a city mistress. I can still lend you a few hundred gold." Battle achievements have special uses. In the third floor, there are many places that require battle achievements. Without them, you can't enter even if you want to. Normally, there won't be so many demon generals for you to kill. In the third floor and above, the demon commanders and demon marshals above the demon generals often lead their teams. Those fellows have the advantage in numbers, 10 times that of human warriors. If you don't snipe them, it would be very difficult to kill them. Yu Yang sweated profusely. He didn't know. Only the heavens knew that battle merits were so useful. This time, he had no choice but to come to the Warrior Guild's Honor Level 3 to exchange for it. He had money on him, so why would he listen to the nagging of that white-robed brother? That fellow was even more annoying than Fatty High. But then again, could he really be Fatty High's relative? When City Mistress Fallenflowers saw Yu Yang's embarrassed expression, she suddenly stopped being angry and laughed out loud. She laughed so hard that her shoulders shook and her flowers trembled. Hearty laughter had always been her specialty. Seeing this girl's natural, bold, and sexy smile, Yu Yang's heart was filled with lust. If it wasn't for the mercenaries passing by occasionally, Yu Yang really wanted to push down City Mistress Fallenflowers and force himself on her. Of course, this was only because of her sexy laughter. It had nothing to do with anything else. Speaking of feelings, Yu Yang might say that his heart was as hard as iron. He would treat any woman like an NPC in a game, but towards Fourth Mother, Yu Bing, and the little girl, he couldn't deny it even if he wanted to. As for the bright-eyed Anan, if someone asked Yu Yang, he would definitely say that he didn't have any feelings for her. Yu Yang's counterfeit, inherent skill would not let others see through his true feelings. If you're smart, then you're a swindler. Everyone has been fooled by you. If you're stupid, then you're also an idiot. You don't even know the basics of life. If you haven't heard of it, why don't you go and ask around? You have a crystal card. You can go to the Warrior's Gold Bank to borrow money. Let alone the Xia Kingdom's Gold Bank manager. Even Tianluo and Zijin Kingdom's people wouldn't be stingy and miss the chance to curry favor with a strong warrior. I'm going to die from laughter. Can you be more funny? City Mistress Fallenflowers couldn't stop laughing. She patted Yu Yang's shoulder with her small hands, as if saying, "I'm going to die from laughter. You'll have to take responsibility. Why is City Mistress looking for me?" Yu Yang was very open-minded. Even if he didn't want to exchange it, it was useless to regret it. Furthermore, wasn't it just the battle achievements of 5 demon generals? If the demon generals didn't have summoning grimoires or eggshell-like protective shields, Yu Yang was still very confident that he could take them down. Yu Yang had never fought against the demon commanders and demon marshals above the demon generals, so he didn't know how strong they were. However, he had already fought against Demon King Ha Xin and Lich King Grun. Although Yu Yang was far from them, with Little One Li's help, he was still able to escape unscathed and not get killed instantly. Yu Yang didn't think about fighting against a Demon King-ranked ranker for now. The demon marshals were also high-leveled. Yu Yang felt that there was a 99% chance that the demon marshals would have a grimoire and wouldn't be able to chew through it. If there was a chance, fighting against the demon commanders was actually a small wish of Yu Yang's. City Mistress Fallenflowers stopped her bold and sexy laughter. She hugged Yu Yang's shoulder like a brother. "Seeing that you are my future personal guard captain, if I have any benefits, of course I'll give it to you. I'm preparing to fight against a rather powerful demon, so I need a helper. Come, let's discuss tactics." "I'm not going." Yu Yang rejected her flatly. Nonsense. With this girl's craziness, she wouldn't fight normal monsters. Fighting against a strong enemy, wouldn't that be looking for trouble? Furthermore, discussing tactics was not what Yu Yang liked. If City Mistress Fallen Flowers invited him to study bedroom techniques together, he would definitely agree. City Mistress Fallen Flowers seemed to have already expected Yu Yang to say this. She laughed without a care. Don't throw a tantrum like a child. I won't harm you. You can't go wrong listening to me. If you're obedient, I'll give you candies. Yu Yang's forehead was filled with black lines. He wanted to break free from City Mistress Fallen Flowers' arm that was hugging his shoulder and leave, but that soft and light touch was too wonderful. He was a little reluctant to part with it. The delicate fragrance of a virgin wafted from his side, refreshing his heart. Although Yu Yang looked serious on the surface, in reality, a certain place had already shamefully turned hard. City Mistress Fallen Flowers used her jade-like fingers to lift Yu Yang's chin, exhaling a fragrant breath. Little thief, do you want a beauty? A strong and beautiful beauty. Yes, Yu Yang thought to himself. Isn't this nonsense? Among the men, other than Dongfang Bubi, who didn't like beauties, could it be that his blissful sexual life had arrived? This City Mistress Fallen Flowers was empty and lonely, and urgently needed his comfort. However, this girl didn't look like the kind of woman who liked to go around seducing men or having one-night stands. Her body fragrance was similar to Anan's. It seemed like they were both virgins. How about you go to bed with him after only seeing him 2 or 3 times? I know a place where there's a strong and beautiful beauty. Let's go and take her down together. City Mistress Fallen Flowers tried her best to encourage Yu Yang's wolfish heart. You mean us? Yu Yang sweated profusely. Could it be that this City Mistress Fallen Flowers was a lily? If I don't make a move, do you think a little thief like you can take down the gold-ranked level 5 Bloody Queen? When City Mistress Fallen Flowers said this, Yu Yang fell to the ground with a thud. As expected, this girl didn't look for him to go to bed with him, nor to pick up girls. She only looked for him to do hard labor. Gold-ranked level 5? That monster's strength was about the same as the 3-headed chimera. Furthermore, just the name itself was terrifying enough. Bloody Queen looks like it was a Gold King beast. If not, it would be a demonic abyss quasi-king-ranked demon. With just Luo Hua City Mistress and himself, it was hard to say if the Bloody Queen would be able to defeat them. Yu Yang immediately struggled free from City Mistress Fallen Flowers' arms and walked away. I'm not going. I don't have a hobby of being abused. City Mistress Fallen Flowers chased after him and tried to persuade him. Little thief, you don't have to fight the Bloody Queen head-on. I'll be the main attacker. You just have to be in charge of restraining her. After you win, the Bloody Queen will belong to you. If you can sign a contract with her, think about it, a gold-ranked level 5 Bloody Queen. Once you summon her, you won't even need to fight at all. I think you're lacking a strong summoned beast. Although that 2-headed wolf has a bright future, it's a beast-type beast and can only fight on land. What if you meet a bird-type beast that can control the sky? Don't tell me that a small wind-breath seabird can defeat you. With the Bloody Queen, things would be different. She's an existence second only to a giant dragon. What does City Mistress want after you win? Yu Yang couldn't understand. Could it be that there was a Lei Feng in the soaring dragon continent? Nonsense, of course I want the best things. When City Mistress Fallen Flowers said this, Yu Yang secretly said, I knew it in his heart. However, City Mistress Fallen Flowers added something else. Yu Yang was dumbfounded again, because City Mistress Fallen Flowers said, I want the Bloody Queen's demonic fragrant flower in the Sky Pavilion. You don't know, but I'm currently lacking a pot of demonic fragrant flower to decorate my window. Deal. When Yu Yang heard this, he was afraid that City Mistress Fallen Flowers would regret her decision. He immediately held her hands tightly, and, at the same time, he also took the opportunity to take advantage of her and take advantage of her. I knew that a little thief like you wouldn't be able to resist temptation. City Mistress Fallen Flowers seemed to have already predicted that Yu Yang would agree. She laughed out loud. You good for nothing. How could you believe other people's words so easily? Don't you know that liars don't discriminate between men and women? After being lectured by her, Yu Yang couldn't help but sweat profusely. She had said all the good and bad things alone. Don't worry, I won't lie to a silly little thief like you, because you are my future personal guard captain. City Mistress Fallen Flowers laughed lightly. This is just to remind you not to trust others so easily, no matter if it's a man or a woman. If you're busy, I'll give you half a day off to deal with it. No need. Yu Yang's heart moved slightly. It wouldn't be too late to go back and look for Yu Bing and Inan after he subdued the Bloody Queen first. Yu Bing and Inan weren't weak, so it would be very safe for them to train in the Blackstone Labyrinth. Furthermore, he could cultivate the Treeman Warrior and the Little Silver Pegasus while he was waiting. On the other hand, he was indeed lacking a strong flying beast. If he could use Phantom Shadow to take over the Bloody Queen's body and become an existence like the barbarian Cow Shadow, his battle power would definitely increase. A gold-ranked, level 5 Bloody Queen. Not mentioning other things, her strength was already there. If he could really succeed, then when he returned to the Yu Clan castle, he could ruthlessly trample on the Yu Clan's first and second branch. He didn't even need to expose his innate invisible sword Qi and Little One Li. He believed that he could easily help the beautiful woman vent her anger. Seeing Yu Yang shaking his head, City Mistress Fallen Flowers immediately pulled his big hand. Don't worry, we'll be back soon. Your sister's strength is not bad. It won't be a problem for her to train in the Blackstone Labyrinth. Furthermore, you can't just protect her all the time. You have to let her have a chance to be independent occasionally. Let's go. Don't let those people from the Demon Abyss beat us to it. Demon Abyss? Yu Yang was stunned. What did this Bloody Queen have to do with the Demon Abyss? Could it be that the Bloody Fifth female lived in the Demon Abyss? The Bloody Queen is a newly promoted gold-ranked king beast. It's the easiest to fight now, but after a few more months, when it matures and rises to gold rank level 6, it would be troublesome. All monsters, after reaching level 6, would have their strength increase by more than 10 times from their original strength. However, once bronze-ranked, silver-ranked, and gold-ranked monsters reach level 6, they wouldn't have the chance to mutate anymore. Platinum-ranked monsters can still mutate after reaching level 6. Don't let that two-headed demon wolf of yours rise to bronze-ranked level 6. You have to let it evolve to silver-ranked. Otherwise, it would be destined to become a useless laborer. City Mistress Fallen Flowers pulled Yu Yang along as they ran. Yu Yang listened attentively. These secrets of cultivating beasts, if not from her, he really didn't know who else would tell him. If it rose to bronze-ranked level 6, Hui Tai Lang would probably be crippled. Luckily, Hui Tai Lang was only bronze-ranked level 5 now. There was still a chance for it to evolve to silver-ranked beast. How can a bronze-ranked, two-headed demon wolf evolve to silver-ranked? Yu Yang couldn't resist the urge to seek knowledge in his heart. He knew that this was a secret among secrets, and others wouldn't easily tell him, but he still blurted it out and asked City Mistress Fallen Flowers. Chapter 86. If it was someone else, I definitely wouldn't say it, but you are a silly little thief. Forget it. I'll be your teacher again. City Mistress Fallen Flowers' words made Yu Yang stunned. This girl really said it? Could it be that this girl took a fancy to him? That didn't seem possible, right? People like her, who knew how many strong warriors she had seen, why would she take a fancy to an unknown young boy like him? Moreover, her eyes were not like Anan's, which was unwilling to reveal a bit of light, but similar to Yu Yu's concerned eyes. Could it be that this girl liked to pretend to be other people's older sister and treated him as a younger brother? City Mistress Fallen Flowers passed on many secrets of cultivating beasts to Yu Yang along the way, amidst her unique laughter, allowing Yu Yang to benefit a lot. When they arrived at the teleportation circle, she took out a small token. After discussing with the old man in charge of guarding the teleportation circle for a while, she let Yu Yang also stand inside. Before teleporting, City Mistress Fallen Flowers warned Yu Yang seriously. Little thief, I want to remind you, you must pay attention to your safety. At all times, you must put your life first, understand? Right now, the entire Soaring Dragon continent doesn't have any resurrection heavenly crystal. If you die in battle, I have no way to save you. Resurrection heavenly crystal? Yu Yang was stunned when he heard this. That is the magical crystal brought back from the legendary heaven realm by human peak warriors. As long as a person has not died for long and the important parts of their body are still intact, they can use the magical energy stored in it to resurrect. Because of the frequent invasion of the demon abyss in the past 1,000 years, countless human genius warriors with hope died in battle. In order to preserve hope, the resurrection heavenly crystal was used to resurrect the most important and most promising genius warriors. As a result, the originally scarce resurrection heavenly crystal was used up 100 years ago. We must face the enemy seriously and take risks bravely, but we must also be careful, because we have no possibility of resurrection. City Mistress Fallen Flowers' expression was abnormally serious. Does the heaven realm really exist? Yang thought to himself, they always talked about the three realms. Other than the soaring dragon continent and the demon abyss, could there really be a heaven realm? It should exist, but the peak warriors never mentioned it. They only said that when a younger generation stepped onto the 8th level of Tong Tian Tower, they would understand. I reckon that the heaven realm does exist because every higher level of Tong Tian Tower, the space is 10 times bigger than the one below. After reaching the 8th level, I reckon that it is even bigger than the soaring dragon continent. If we go up to the 9th level, I reckon that even the demon abyss is far from it. Maybe the heaven realm exists in the outer realm of the higher levels of Tong Tian Tower. City Mistress Fallen Flowers was also not sure. Can I get the heavenly recovery crystal from the heaven realm now? Yu Yang asked. It said that the resurrection sky crystal was brought back from Tong Tian Tower's 10th floor and above. In the past 1,000 years, there hasn't been a single ranker in the soaring dragon continent who could enter the 10th floor. City Lord Fallen Flowers shook her head. Don't think about these useless things for now. We have to be careful of the next battle. While speaking, Yu Yang saw a white light flash, and he was already teleported to another place. His whole body tensed up, as if there was an invisible weight pressing down on him. His whole body became much heavier, as if his weight had doubled. The feeling of being as light as a swallow disappeared. A thought flashed through Yu Yang's mind, and he suddenly shouted, "Double gravity? Does the space here have double gravity?" City Lord Fallen Flowers looked at Yu Yang with a little amusement. It's the ancient code seal. The 2nd floor of Tong Tian Tower started to gradually strengthen. However, if we use the term gravity to explain it, it seems that it can barely be explained. However, our weight didn't increase. It's just that our bodies were affected by the ancient code. You might not be used to it at first, so get used to it first. Later, we will teleport to the 3rd floor, where there are stronger seals. Wait, I'll give you the clearance certificate first. Yu Yang looked at City Lord Fallen Flowers with a little surprise as she jogged towards the old man in a long robe. It seemed that the double gravity didn't affect her much. Kong Yu Man's heart was filled with pride. He couldn't be worse than a girl. After calming down and adjusting his breath, Yu Yang slowly moved his body. He used innate qi to circulate throughout his body, raising his body to its best state. Gradually, the discomfort of the heavy pressure slowly weakened and finally disappeared. It seemed that the ancient code seal on the 2nd floor of Tong Tian Tower was actually very weak. As long as a warrior's body reached its best state, it would almost have no effect. However, how many people in the world could use innate qi to adjust their body quickly like him? If Yi Kong and Fatty Hai came here, they probably wouldn't even need to fight. Just walking alone would make them fall down from exhaustion. When City Lord Fallen Flowers returned, Yu Yang was doing somersaults, his movements extremely agile. This greatly surprised her. This brat's body was really abnormal. He could adapt so quickly. How did he train in the past? Did he only train in combat skills? Even if he only trained in combat skills, it shouldn't be possible to adapt to this extent in such a short time, right? She had to adapt to the 2nd floor for a whole day before she gradually got rid of that kind of influence. She didn't expect that this brat would not be affected by the ancient code seal in just a few minutes. He was really abnormal. Yes, just like this. Always maintain your body's best state. When we reach the 3rd floor, there will be even stronger ancient code seal. Moreover, As long as we leave the human's castle, there is a high possibility that we will encounter the demon abyss's ambush. At all times, we must maintain our most vigilant battle state. City Lord Fallen Flowers warned a few more times, and then teleported to the third floor of Tong Tian Tower with Yu Yang. Yu Yang discovered that this place was a castle that was even bigger than Whitestone City. The teleportation circle was set up on a small mountaintop, and there were almost 100 golden armored guards guarding it vigilantly below. A little further away, there was a huge city wall that was 40 to 50 meters tall, built along the mountain. Many of the city walls were simply carved out of the mountain wall, and there were tall archery towers and guard stations on top of it. Looking down, the houses below were also the same. They were all built along the mountain walls, without any bricks or tiles. It was obvious that they were sturdy and simple. All the houses were arranged like a beehive. Although they looked messy on the surface, they were actually the most reasonable construction. It was the most economical use of materials and also the most reasonable use of the surrounding mountain. On top of the 3 black stone buildings, there was a huge flag erected. Yu Yang recognized that the flag in the middle was the Xia Kingdom's iron blood golden dragon flag. The other flag with a silver wolf and a purple gold moon was probably the Zijin Kingdom's howling wolf moon flag. The one on the right with a sky blue peony with a gold core and a jade thread should be the Tian Luo Kingdom's fallen beauty flag. Only in the third floor of Tong Tian Tower would the flags of the 3 countries that were plotting against each other be placed together. Because this was not the soaring dragon continent, human warriors had to unite in order to resist the demon abyss's crazy attacks. No matter if it was Xia, Zijin, Tianluo, or other small countries, none of them could resist the demon abyss's demon army alone. Let's go. In this Iron Fist City, as long as the demon abyss army doesn't attack, we will still be safe. City Mistress Fallen Flowers brought Yu Yang, who had quickly strengthened his body to resist the triple gravity restriction spell, down the teleportation circle on the small mountain. How often do the demon abyss army enter this place? Yu Yang saw that the city walls were filled with traces of war. There was also a faint smell of blood in the air. At least 1 month, at most 3 months, the demon abyss will definitely attack. The human warriors stationed here don't even have time to breathe. A battle would last for a few days and nights. This is very normal. However, fortunately, the 3 countries' elite teams are quite united. Sometimes the small countries would also put in a lot of effort, so this place is still unable to be conquered. When City Mistress Fallen Flowers said this, Yu Yang felt that it was strange. How can these guards defend against the attack of a Demon King level powerhouse? Yu Yang was in disbelief. This place definitely could not withstand the attack of a Demon King. Silly words again. Why would a Demon King level powerhouse come to the 3rd level to attack a city? Normally, they would come to the 6th or 7th level to compete with the human superpowerhouses. Moreover, even if they conquered this place, it would be useless. When a human powerhouses rush back, they can still drive them away. The Demon Abyss can gain the upper hand, but it doesn't mean that the demons can destroy us humans. The demon's attack is only to train the elite powerhouses among the demons. At the same time, it also consumes the strength of us humans. In short, this is a kind of competition. Otherwise, what's the point of them conquering this place? The demons use this place as a whetstone, and we do the same. This place is the watershed that separates ordinary people from the strong. If we can walk out of here, then there will be hope. City Mistress Fallen Flowers said as she led Yu Yang across the street and towards the city gate facing the valley. City Mistress, please be careful. There might be demons lying in ambush on the road. The station Golden Armor General respectfully saluted City Mistress Fallen Flowers. You're the City Mistress here? When Yu Yang heard this, he was shocked. This girl was amazing. This City Mistress was really amazing. No, how could I make a broken city on the 3rd level? My city is on the 4th level. When City Mistress Fallen Flowers said this, Yu Yang immediately collapsed. Strong, this girl was 10 times more amazing than he imagined. Other than the gravity of the 3rd level being 3 times that of the 1st level, The area was also 100 times larger than the first level. Yu Yang looked at the map. On it, 60% was the territory of the Demon Abyss, and 40% was occupied by humans. Both sides were separated by a huge river, and the Iron Fist city that he teleported out was not the only one. There were 3 other similar cities, but the scale was obviously far from the Iron Fist city. There were only small cities that served as natural strongholds. On the map, there were close to 100 neutral areas that were marked with silver circles. These seemed to be the territories of Golden King beasts. Humans and Demon Abyss rankers could not easily attack them, so they were preserved. The Bloody Queen that City Mistress Fallen Flowers wanted to kill with Yu Yang was marked with such a neutral area. However, if the areas were divided according to the strength of the strength, this Bloody Queen should be considered relatively weak among the many Golden King beasts on the 3rd level. This was because, from what was shown on the map, the area that it marked out was the smallest among all the Golden King beasts. Don't be careless. The Bloody Queen originally had an even stronger Queen Mother, so her area was the largest. However, she left the 3rd level and went to the 4th level. Her daughter has leveled up to become a Bloody Queen. Because she just evolved, she is still relatively weak. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to defeat her. The Bloody Queen's mother left, but she left behind 2 commander-level demons that are a little hard to deal with. One of them is a bronze-ranked level 6 Ghost-Clawed Rainbow-Winged Banshee, and the other is a bronze-ranked level 7 Blade, Massacring Demoness. We have to get rid of them. In addition, there are also dozens of bronze-ranked level 2 Harpies and bronze-ranked level 3 Bayonet Spider Demons. They're also a bit of a headache. When City Mistress Fallen Flowers said this, Yu Yang almost fainted. So it wasn't just a Bloody Queen. This Bloody Queen had soldiers and generals under her. Her people were strong, and her horses were strong. There was also a large number of them. How are they going to fight this battle? Chapter 87. Come, let's discuss tactics together. City Mistress Fallen Flowers was a democratic person and didn't mind discussing with others. It was a pity that she didn't know that Yu Yang only liked to study sexual techniques and didn't know anything about tactics. Furthermore, how could she let an otaku who had never been on the battlefield or let an army come up with tactics? That was more dangerous than having no tactics at all. Actually, I've read Sun Tzu's Art of War before. The highest realm is to subdue the enemy without fighting. I don't think that's possible. Also, I've seen the guerrilla warfare of the Celestial Empire. Unfortunately, we can't use guerrilla warfare, landmine warfare, tunnel warfare here. Yu Yang was thinking, among the 36 stratagems, which one was the most suitable here? After thinking for a long time, he couldn't think of anything like besieging Wei to save Zhao, deceiving everyone, killing with a borrowed knife, luring the tiger away from the mountain. As for the empty fort stratagem, injuring oneself to gain the confidence of others and seducing the tiger away from the mountain, none of these would work. After thinking for a long time, he felt that the last stratagem, escape is the best, was the most suitable. Yu Yang had fought against a bronze-ranked level 7 bone dragon before. Its bones were extremely hard, and without innate invisible sword chi, he wouldn't be able to break it. Now, there was a bronze-ranked level 7 blade, Massacring Demoness, which was probably not easy to deal with. There was even a bronze-ranked level 6 Ghost-Clawed Rainbow-Winged Banshee, helping in midair. Forget about these 2 monsters. There was also a gold-ranked level 5 Bloody Queen. Yu Yang could imagine the concept of a gold-ranked beast from the Ares Temple's 3-headed chimera. Furthermore, this Bloody Queen was only a Gold King beast. No matter how weak it was still a queen. City Mistress Fallen Flowers encouraged Yu Yang along the way. She advised him to think about how cool it would be to have a gold-ranked beast and show it off in front of others, so that he wouldn't give up so easily. The 2 of them passed through mountains and rivers, and walked for more than 2 hours before they reached the Flying Mountain where the Bloody Queen lived. Flying Mountain was the name of an island in the sky. It had never been seen in the Soaring Dragon continent, but existed in every floor of Tong Tian Tower. Even the first floor, there were very few places, such as the Blackstone Labyrinth in Star Domain. On the walls of the labyrinth, there were some stones that blocked the view, floating in midair. Of course, it was still a floating rock. If the Sky Island was big enough and shaped like a mountain, it would be named Flying Peak. The Flying Peak was not the largest sky island. Instead, it was a small sky island. It was said that a city or even a country could be built on a large sky island. For example, City Lord Fallen Flowers Waterfall City was built on a floating island. At the foot of the Flying Peak were two cliffs that connected to each other. There were also a lot of floating stones that formed a spiral staircase that snaked upward. The Bloody Queen's original mother had managed the peak of the mountain that reached the clouds for who knows how many years. Unexpectedly, there were also spatial pavilions that resembled human buildings on top of the mountain. If I can occupy this place and build a holiday villa for people to visit, I reckon that business will be booming. Yu Yang started to daydream. Avatar just needed to create a floating island, find a few actors, wear a few pieces of cloth, and shoot a movie, and it would be extremely popular. If he really built a holiday villa in the sky, even if it couldn't compare to Avatar's Holy Mountain, it definitely wouldn't be worse than Dubai's artificial coconut island, right? Your idea is not bad, but I don't think anyone would risk their life to come to the third floor of Tong Tian Tower for a holiday. It's not a holiday, it's looking for death. City Lord Fallen Flowers laughed uncontrollably. The two of them chatted and laughed as they came out from the Colonel. They were about to find the most hidden place to go up the mountain. Suddenly, City Lord Fallen Flowers discovered that the Flying Peak had a spatial pavilion on top of it, emitting black smoke. She immediately became furious and anxiously jumped up. "Little thief, hurry up. Someone has snatched it from us. I'm telling you, you can't be lenient. Kill whoever you see. As long as it's something that I like, no one can snatch it from me. What if it's not a monster from the demon abyss, but a human?" Yu Yang felt that this was still within the territory of human warriors. Maybe it was a human warrior who was snatching the monster. Nonsense, in my eyes. There is only one kind of enemy, and that is those who go against me. City Lord Fallen Flowers raised her fist and punched Yu Yang. She harumphed. "No matter who it is, as long as they don't leave, go ahead and chop them. I'll take responsibility for anything that happens." Yu Yang thought that City Lord Fallen Flowers was a very reasonable person. He didn't think that she was even more ferocious and tyrannical than a crab from the Celestial Empire. Yu Yang immediately pulled out the crescent blade on his back and ran. The Bloody Queen was a summoned beast that he had ordered long ago. Whoever dared to touch her, he would chop them. Since City Lord Fallen Flowers said that she would take responsibility, it would be a waste if he didn't chop them. On the spiraling path of floating stones, there were some places where the floating stones were shattered and cracked, creating a huge crater. Some of the floating stones were stained with blood. Bird feathers, broken limbs, and broken weapons were scattered everywhere. As Yu Yang and City Lord Fallen Flowers went further up, they discovered that the corpses of the harpies could be seen from time to time. As for the level 3 demons that were killed by the harpies' wings, they were also abandoned on the ground. A few of them were still wriggling in the pool of blood. It was obvious that they were not completely dead yet. A large group of giant spider corpses were scattered messily on the stone steps. Some of them were even on fire. The burnt smell and the smell of blood were nauseating. It was obvious that this was not an attack by human warriors, but a large-scale attack by the demon clan. On the last floating stone step of the Flying Peak, Yu Yang and City Lord Fallen Flowers also discovered the corpse of a level 4 demon giant. Its head had been chopped off by a terrifying force. The way it died was extremely bloody and terrifying. This time, there will definitely be a demon general or even a demon commander leading the team. City Lord Fallen Flowers hinted to Yu Yang to be extra careful. When they reached the Flying Peak, they turned around the narrow mountain path and ran halfway up the mountain. They discovered that hundreds of demon abyss creatures were surrounding a small number of harpies. There were at least 3 demon generals taking turns to attack a bloody blade giant that was fighting to the death. This blade giant looked a little like a female minotaur, but it was taller. It waved its giant blade that looked like a guillotine, charging back and forth among the demons, slaughtering at least 100 low-level demons. It was unstoppable. Other than a few demon generals' attacks that could injure it, there were no other demons that could stop this blade giant's charge. The level 3 Longhorn demon was killed by this blade giant until its corpses were everywhere. On the other side of the battlefield, there was a rainbow-winged demoness that was several times bigger than a normal person. It was entangled by countless spider webs, unable to spread its wings and fly into the sky. Two demon generals raised their giant axes and sharp swords, fiercely slashing at it. Although they were unable to kill the rainbow-winged demoness easily, their storm-like attacks still inflicted heavy injuries on it. The rainbow-winged demoness let out a painful wail. It tried its best to break free from the spider webs, but it was completely unable to do so. It was obvious that it had been restrained by the beasts that countered it. Yu Yang reckoned that the demon generals had used the special characteristics of flying beasts that countered the rainbow-winged demoness. They had summoned tarantulas or trawl spiders to bind the rainbow-winged demoness that had an extremely fast flying speed and nimble movements. Then, they mercilessly killed the rainbow-winged demoness whose combat power had been greatly reduced after landing. In the eyes of City Mistress Fallen Flowers, with her experience, she could see even more. For example, that blade giant must have been affected by the weakening demon moth, bone-sucking maggot, and manic red ant. Otherwise, as a bronze-ranked level 7, it wouldn't have been so easily beaten black and blue by the three demon generals. It wouldn't have lost its rationality and attacked recklessly. Ayaya, an extremely sharp shriek spread out from the sky like a ripple. No matter if it was a normal demon or a demon general, after hearing this incomparably sharp and ear-piercing shriek, they all fell to the ground like harvested wheat, fainting. Some of the demons with the lowest levels even died on the spot. Their ugly heads exploded like rotten watermelons, white brain matter splattering all over the ground. Even a strong blade giant, the bronze-ranked level 7 blade, massacring demoness, kneeled on the ground in pain, clutching its head and rolling on the ground. When Yu Yang heard this, he felt a buzzing sound in his head. There was a total of 2 to 3 seconds of blankness, as if someone had ruthlessly smashed a flying hammer on the back of his head. After this ear-piercing shriek, Yu Yang's innate qi immediately reacted and circulated throughout his entire body. In the end, it formed a cyclone that protected his head and slowly released it outwards. The dizziness in his head was immediately dispelled. There was an indescribable, refreshing feeling that filled his entire head. Not only was his spirit not affected, it had instead become 100 times clearer. This natural reaction from his innate qi made Yu Yang's heart overjoyed. Could it be that this was the second level of innate, invisible sword qi's 5 senses returned to 1? He had already trained in the second level for a long time, but there were still many mysterious mental cultivation methods. Yu Yang had always been in a state where he didn't fully understand, understood. Under the 10,000 years ancient oak tree, Yu Yang had comprehended the nature's heart and raised his spirit level by a huge step. At the same time, he had also determined the direction to advance to the 3rd level. Now, after being attacked by the terrifying shriek, and because of the reaction from his innate qi protecting his body, he had suddenly comprehended the 5 senses returned to 1 of his eyes, ears, mouth, nose, and tongue, greatly increasing the sensitivity of his 5 senses. In comparison, City Mistress Fallen Flowers didn't get rid of the effects so quickly. She clutched her forehead and painfully groaned. This is the Bloody Queen's banshee scream. Looks like she has met a strong enemy. I need a minute to store up my energy before I can completely recover to my peak condition. If you can move, then quickly kill the demon general while the dizziness from the banshee scream is still not gone. Wait, don't go out, there's someone in the sky. Be careful, this guy is called Ma Liang. He's one of the 3 big shots among the demon commanders. He's a flying dragon demon rider, and his strength isn't any weaker than mine. This battle might be extremely difficult. You must remember what I said before. No matter what happens, save your life first. In the sky, a black figure landed on the ground with a loud bang. He landed heavily on the ground, stirring up a cloud of mud and gravel. Yu Yang focused his attention and saw that it was a man in magic armor riding on the back of a black flying dragon. He fell heavily on the ground along with his mount. The black flying dragon's eyes immediately turned white as it fainted. Black blood flowed out from its mouth, eyes, and ears. As for the man in magic armor on its back, he held his head in pain and howled towards the sky. It was as if his forehead had been pierced by a metal nail. He was in so much pain that he wanted to die. With regard to this result, Yu Yang didn't find it strange at all. Even at such a far distance, when he, who had reached the innate realm, heard that mournful scream, he felt as if the back of his head was hit by a hammer. This guy was directly hit by the scream at such a close distance. It was already amazing that his head didn't explode into a pile of mush. Looks like this guy is that Ma Yang. He's one of the 3 big shots among the demon commanders. 3 big shots? That sounds pretty amazing. In the sky, another girl with golden wings fell down diagonally. She was mostly naked. Only her snow-white breasts and private parts of her lower body were covered by a small amount of demon armor. In her chest, where her heart was, there was an oddly shaped dagger that was deeply pierced. Fresh blood flowed out, dyeing half of her body red. She spun around in the sky with difficulty, flying in a crooked manner, as if she wanted to escape from the battlefield. However, in the end, she didn't have the strength to flap her wings. In the end, she flew lower and lower until she fell heavily in front of Yu Yang. She struggled to get up a few times, but just as she straightened her body, she spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted in pain. Both sides suffered. This bloody queen and demon commander fought until both sides suffered. Yu Yang's heart was beating extremely fast. This was obviously a gift from the heavens to him for free. If he didn't accept it, he would probably suffer the wrath of the heavens. You guys fight slowly. I'll pick her up in the middle. He immediately flew in front of the fainted bloody queen, preparing to use phantom shadow to take over her body. Suddenly, a light breeze blew past. It was unknown when a shadow had appeared behind him. In the hands of this shadow, there was a strangely shaped demon blade that was flickering with golden light, and it slashed down towards the back of Yu Yang's head. Chapter 88. The shadow used his magic blade to cut Yu Yang in half, and sneered at the same time, "Idiot!" But he was immediately startled, because Yu Yang's body had mysteriously disappeared. What was hit was not his body, but an afterimage. Where did the real Yu Yang go? I agree that you are an idiot. A crescent-shaped blade, aura with raging flames and black smoke sliced through the air and landed on the back of the sword-wielding shadow. At the same time as it cut the magic armor, a big foot stretched out and wretchedly kicked the shadow's buttocks. The shadow's body involuntarily flew forward, like an arrow streaking across the ground, knocking away countless evil spirits that had fallen on the mountain path. It heavily smashed into a mountain wall, making a loud rumbling sound. The mountain wall shook, smoke and dust flew everywhere. On the ground, a long straight line was left. Yu Yang, who had successfully ambushed Ma Liang, felt that it was a pity. If he had the giant shadow, which could increase his strength by 100 times, then this arrogant Ma Liang would not be able to walk away unscathed. Right now, his strength was not enough to kill him. The mountain wall exploded with a bang, and a black shadow wielding a magic blade came out. It was the man who rode on the black flying dragon just now. One of the 3 great demon commanders, Ma Liang. Although he was successfully ambushed by Yu Yang, his face was still full of arrogance. He casually shook off the stone fragments on his shoulder and looked at Yu Yang in disdain. "Little worm, your speed is quite fast, but your strength is really too weak. What's your name?" "Don't talk to him. He has a strange beast called Howling Flying Dragon. It's an invisible flying dragon spirit. As long as you talk to him, you will be silenced for at least 5 minutes. He wants to stop you from summoning your grimoire. Hurry up and kill the demon general. This fellow is mine." As soon as City Lord Fallen Flowers finished speaking, Yu Yang could see with his all-seeing eye that a ball of black gas emerged from Ma Liang's demonic armor and transformed into a flying dragon that pounced towards City Lord Fallen Flowers. On the other hand, City Mistress Fallen Flowers was already prepared. She stretched out her hand and summoned her gold grimoire. A bright golden barrier rose up, blocking the black gas in the shape of a flying dragon. "City Lord Fallen Flowers, long time no see. Fighting with you is meaningless. We have fought no less than 10 times, and there has never been a clear winner. I believe this time will be no exception. However, I really doubt if this subordinate of yours would be able to last more than a minute under the combined attacks of my 5 demon generals." Ma Liang also summoned a gold grimoire. As he spoke, the 5 demon generals clutched their heads, their expressions abnormally pained. One by one, they stood up. After suffering the bloody queen's banshee scream, no matter how strong they were, they wouldn't be able to endure it. City Lord Fallen Flowers took a look at Yu Yang. Seeing that this brat wasn't affected at all, her heart immediately calmed down. She didn't know why, but even though she had only met this brat a few times, with her woman's intuition, she felt that he was very trustworthy. She always had an indescribable confidence in him. If it was someone else, she wouldn't have brought a little thief who was training on the 1st floor to the 3rd floor, not to mention bringing him here to kill the Bloody Queen. However, she didn't know why, but when she saw him, she had this kind of confidence in him. It was as if he was the best choice to cooperate with her. "Kill him for me." Ma Liang had been paying attention to City Lord Fallen Flowers' expression. Seeing that she didn't have any trace of panic, he immediately felt unhappy. Could it be that she really had that much confidence in that quick-legged thief? 5 demon generals that he had specially chosen as his trusted aides, and almost 100 elite soldiers that he had personally trained. Could that quick-legged thief really be able to support the battle? Or was City Lord Fallen Flowers pretending to be full of confidence? With her craftiness and calmness, even if she was at a disadvantage, she definitely wouldn't be moved. This was most likely just a bluff. "Yes," the 5 demon generals loudly replied. The 5 demon generals didn't move together. Moreover, they also didn't feel that a human thief was worthy of being surrounded and killed by 5 demon generals. If it wasn't for Ma Liang's order, they would at most send a few long-horned evil demons to use their sharp claws to tear this brat to pieces. A demon general stepped out from the crowd, preparing to attack. Another one guarded him, guarding against a sneak attack from City Lord Fallen Flowers. The other 3 continued to observe the battlefield, ready to attack the blade, massacring Demonis at any time. The ghost-clawed, rainbow-winged Demonis had unknowingly broken free from the spiderweb. It didn't continue to participate in the battle, but instead soared into the sky in fear. Perhaps it was because the Bloody Queen was heavily injured and on the verge of death, and the battle situation was extremely unfavorable. The ghost-clawed, rainbow-winged Demonis actually abandoned the Bloody Queen and the home it was guarding, fleeing in panic. The other one, the blade massacring Demonis, that ugly female ox-head giant, fought to the death without retreating. Under the bites and attacks of the evil demon army, it retaliated angrily, refusing to leave the battlefield no matter what. There were a few times when it wanted to charge forward and save the heavily injured Bloody Queen, but because its intelligence was too low and it was affected by the manic scarlet ant's poison, it was easily lured away by the demon generals. It was so enraged that it forgot to save the Bloody Queen. It only cared about chasing after the demon generals or slashing the evil demons beside it in a frenzy. Ma Liang realized that the evil demon army really couldn't deal much damage to the bronze-ranked level 7 blade, massacring Demonis. They suffered heavy casualties, so he summoned a silver-spotted flying dragon and let join the battle. It attacked from the sky, focusing on restraining the blade, massacring Demonis. However, Ma Liang's attention was mainly on City Lord Fallen Flowers. He, who had fought with City Lord Fallen Flowers more than 10 times, knew that this human female's beast-killing power was extremely terrifying. It could easily kill its opponent in an instant. If it wasn't for the fact that she took a long time to accumulate her spiritual chi, then other than himself, no other living creature would be able to survive this battle. Corrosive Flying Dragon. Ma Liang summoned another flying dragon. Yu Yang realized that this guy was simply a flying dragon maniac who specialized in contracting flying dragons. He rode on a black flying dragon, hid to ambush others with a howling flying dragon, attacked female ox-headed monsters with a silver-spotted flying dragon that could discharge electricity, and then summoned a corrosive flying dragon to attack City Lord Fallen Flowers. How many flying dragons did this guy actually contract? Yu Yang was speechless. Flying dragons were definitely not bad beasts, but he couldn't just contract flying dragons all the time, right? City Lord Fallen Flowers left the three-tailed snow fox under her feet inside the protective shield. This corrosive flying dragon was Ma Liang's beast to counter the three-tailed snow fox's transformation into a six-tailed fox spirit. Six-tailed fox spirit was very clean and was afraid of being polluted. Once its spiritual chi was polluted, its battle power would be greatly reduced. She snorted coldly and summoned a light spirit. It flew around her body, quickly absorbing and accumulating light energy. Be careful. If it's really dangerous, just summon your grimoire and hide inside the protective shield. City Lord Fallen Flowers warned Yu Yang. She closed her eyes and meditated, preparing to use her fastest speed to accumulate Aurora Light and kill the demon army and the few demon generals. Kill! Ma Liang obviously knew the terrifying power of her Aurora Light. He stretched out his hand and made a killing gesture towards Yu Yang. Damn, do you think I'm a national football team that can slaughter whenever you want? Yu Yang was very dissatisfied. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to use his shadow to take over the Bloody Queen's body, he would have used his Hui Jin magic blade to kill these demon generals long ago. How would they have the chance to show off their strength? However, the Bloody Queen's willpower was extremely firm. Yu Yang secretly used Phantom Shadow to take over her body, but she seemed to know that she would become a puppet after taking over her body. She refused to obey no matter what. Although she was already on the verge of death, she was still a gold-ranked level 5 king. Yu Yang tried again and again, but he still couldn't succeed. Seeing that the Bloody Queen's willpower was too firm and would rather die than obey, Yu Yang couldn't do anything about it. He could only give up on the idea of taking over her body. He prepared to keep his shadow and kill the demon general who was swinging his sword at him first. It was a pity that the Bloody Queen died. However, since he couldn't take over her body, Yu Yang couldn't force her. There was a chance of success in taking over her body. Furthermore, the opponent was a gold-ranked level 5 king, not a bronze-ranked level 5 barbarian bull. It was normal for Phantom Shadow to not succeed. Yu Yang had just turned around and waved his crescent blade to block the demon general's heavy sword that was the fastest to attack him. He then used his Hui Jin magic blade to slash upwards. Suddenly, a golden light flashed brilliantly behind him, causing everyone to be extremely shocked as they all turned their attention towards him. What made Yu Yang ecstatic and extremely speechless was that the moment he gave up on using Phantom Shadow to take over the Bloody Queen's body, the Bloody Queen immediately took the initiative to fuse with Phantom Shadow, completing the contract in an instant. It seemed that she was also afraid of death. However, her dignity as a king made her rather die than turn her corpse into a puppet. Hence, she resisted taking over Yu Yang's body, even when she was on the verge of death. When Yu Yang gave up on taking over Yu Yang's body and prepared to keep his Phantom Shadow, she immediately hugged the Phantom Shadow into her embrace. Her entire body fused with the Phantom Shadow, borrowing the opportunity to complete the contract with Yu Yang in an instant. The Phantom Shadow was originally Yu Yang's guardian beast. She could actually complete the contract again after fusing with it. This made Yu Yang puzzled. Right now, was she his guardian beast or a normal beast? What made Yu Yang feel the strangest was that although he could control the Bloody Queen's body and clearly sense how weak her body was, he couldn't sense her thoughts at all. This was another accident that he couldn't understand. Kill her quickly, Ma Liang shouted sternly. If the Bloody Queen didn't die, she would definitely be the most difficult opponent to deal with after her injuries recovered. If he hadn't launched a sneak attack and stabbed a gold-ranked dragon, slaying dagger in her heart, the current battle situation would be completely different. When the 5 demon generals' expressions changed drastically and rushed over, Yu Yang stretched out his hand and quickly pulled out the dragon-slaying dagger that was still stuck in the Bloody Queen's heart. At the same time, he crushed a healing stone to heal her injuries. Actually, even without the healing stone, the gold-ranked level 5 Bloody Queen wouldn't die so easily. The real fatal injury was the dragon-slaying dagger that even giant dragons didn't dare to face. Now that the dragon-slaying dagger was pulled out, the Bloody Queen's wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye under the healing stone's white light. Although her body was still very weak, her life was no longer in danger. Furthermore, Yu Yang reckoned that she could still be considered as his guardian beast. It was possible that from now on, she would never truly die again. As the 5 demon generals attacked together, Yu Yang realized that he still had a large amount of spiritual energy in his body that he could summon. He immediately summoned his bronze grimoire and the barbarian cow shadow. Could it be that after the nature's heart and the 5 senses returned to one, his summoning abilities had also changed? Once the barbarian cow shadow appeared, her luck improved greatly. She spat out a ball of flame from her mouth and nose, her eyes flashing with a red light. One of the demon generals who was stared at by her let out a blood-curdling scream as he fell heavily from the sky, paralyzed on the ground. His legs twitched like a cockroach that had been trampled flat. Although he didn't die immediately, this fellow was definitely beyond saving. Killing a demon general in an instant? Ma Liang was dumbstruck. How was this possible? The other 4 demon generals' weapons slashed onto the bronze grimoire's protective shield and were all pushed back a few meters. They watched in horror as their companion souls were destroyed and their bodies twitched. They were all so scared that their courage was almost shattered. It wasn't scary if the enemy was strong. At most, they would just fight with their lives on the line. However, meeting an enemy that could kill them in an instant, how could they fight? Chapter 89. The barbarian cow shadow rushed towards the 4 demon generals. She did not have any emotions like fear and was not affected by any external factors. Yu Yang stayed in the protective shield and calmly communicated with her using his mind. This was the first time he tried to use combat skills on the barbarian cow shadow. Of course, he would not use innate combat skills. Furthermore, Yu Yang would not use innate combat skills in front of Ma Liang if he did not have the confidence to kill him. One must know that Ma Liang had a gold grimoire and summoned countless wyverns. Even if all the wyverns died, he could use a teleportation scroll to escape. To kill a demon commander who had a summoning grimoire, unless it was in the battlefield of death, was impossible. To kill Ma Liang, one must wait for an opportunity, wait for him to leave the protective shield, forget about innate combat skills. With Yu Yang's current control of the barbarian cow shadow, he could not even use the Yu Clan spear technique. Barely, Yu Yang could control the barbarian cow shadow to use the crushing rock hammer technique, which was as lousy as the world's worst steel chopping blade technique. Compared to the barbarian cow shadow's previous attacks, this was already a huge improvement. At least, the current her would not be as clumsy as before, waving her arms to smash her opponent. Now, under Yu Yang's control, she had a clear front and back. Her footwork allowed her to advance and retreat freely. Her arms were swung in different directions, just right. Although her fists were using the crushing rock hammer technique, the power it displayed was 100 times stronger than other people's. Facing the barbarian cow shadow who did not fear death and attacked with every move was fine, but this strange beast that could not be killed could also use combat skills. The 4 demon generals were very depressed as they fought. Carelessly, another demon general was hit and fell to the ground. A tall and skinny demon general was the fastest. He pierced through the barbarian cow shadow's heart with his sword. In his mind, the barbarian cow shadow was a humanoid beast that could be killed by stabbing its vital points. However, he did not expect that she was actually a phantom. She only became like this after taking over another's body. Her body was still half-living and did not have the weaknesses of normal beasts. Furthermore, the barbarian cow shadow was still a guardian beast. Even if her body was destroyed, she would still be fine. Even if her energy was depleted, she would only return to her bronze grimoire to rest. Unless Yu Yang died, she would never truly die. After the sword hit its target, the tall and skinny demon general fiercely twirled his sword, intending to forcefully crush the barbaric cow shadow's heart. A cruel smile appeared on his face. However, just as his smile appeared, it froze. This was because he saw the barbaric cow shadow, who had been stabbed in the heart, stretch out a big hand and grab his arm like an iron pincer. Another heavy punch ruthlessly struck the gaunt demon general's elbow joint. The demon general, who originally wanted to struggle with all his might, let out a blood-curdling scream as his entire arm was immediately crippled. The barbaric cow shadow remained unmoved under the ferocious attacks of the other 3 demon generals. She ignored the lacerating wounds on her body and tightly grabbed onto the tall and thin demon general. She bent her head down and gave a headbutt, smashing it onto his forehead. Amidst the shocking sounds of collision, the 3 demon generals all heard the sound of their companion's skull shattering. In the crushing stone hammer technique, which cost 10 copper coins each, there was no such thing as a headbutt. Yu Yang modified it a little, using the cow's head as a hammer. In the end, its power in actual combat was not bad. Although the crushing stone hammer technique didn't have a headbutt, it had a kind of ferocious, smashing force. The original technique was to swing the hammer backwards and use the huge inertia of the smashing force to hit the opponent's head. Yu Yang modified it a little again. He let the barbaric cow shadow swing the tall and thin demon general's body up and threw it backwards like a hammer. Then, he reversed the force and smashed it downwards heavily. What happened next was simple. Yu Yang let go of the control of his mind and let the barbaric cow shadow use her instincts directly. The barbaric cow shadow rushed towards the demon general whose head had been smashed open and jumped up high. Her huge cow's hooves stomped on the demon general like a boulder smashing a crab. This time, let alone Yu Yang, even the 3 companions of the demon general didn't think that this fellow would still be alive. After the barbaric cow shadow gained some intelligence, she seemed to know how to use weapons. However, she didn't know how to differentiate between weapons. She casually grabbed the tall and thin demon general's corpse and smashed it towards the other 3 demon generals who were pale with fright. When the 3 demon generals retreated in fear, the tall and thin demon general was smashed until only half of his badly mutilated corpse was left. The 3 demon generals realized that they were completely in a tragic situation. The beasts that they had summoned were completely useless against this barbaric cow shadow. Whether it was the weakened demon moth, bone-sucking maggot, or manic red ant, they were all useless against the barbaric cow shadow. The trawl spider and tarantula spat out their silk webs, thinking that they would be able to trap the barbaric cow shadow, who knew that she would spit out a ball of flame from her nose and mouth, burning all the spider webs. The larger and slower tarantula couldn't escape in time. With a miserable cry, it was instantly killed by Doom's eyes. Today, Yu Yang's luck wasn't bad. The barbaric cow shadow had used Doom's eyes twice in one battle. His mood was exceptionally good. However, this was the start of the 3 demon generals' nightmare. Although they knew that this kind of skill that could instantly kill beasts had a chance, and the chance was extremely small, who would dare to say that the next unlucky person wouldn't be them? On the other side, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, who had been charging for a long time, shot her aurora light towards the demon army. A blazing white light flashed, instantly killing more than 10 longhorn demons. Even the blade, massacring Demonis, and the silver-spotted flying dragon that couldn't escape in time were mostly destroyed by the aurora light. They fell to the ground, wailing incessantly. Ma Liang was seething with anger at the passive situation. However, he had to face City Mistress Fallen Flowers, this strong enemy, and couldn't get away. He summoned a round-horned flying dragon that was several times bigger than a normal flying dragon and was about to swallow the barbaric cow shadow. Seeing that City Mistress Fallen Flowers was charging her spiritual energy again, he hurriedly sent it and the corrosive flying dragon to surround and attack City Mistress Fallen Flowers, not letting her have the chance to display the power of the six-tailed fox spirit. He knew that as long as this six-tailed fox spirit transformed, City Mistress Fallen Flowers' battle power would increase by several times under the six-tailed fox spirit's buff. If he allowed her to charge another Aurora Light, even if his shield could withstand it, his flying dragons would all die. You guys kill him immediately. Don't bother about that barbarian cowgirl. This kind of beast that isn't afraid of death definitely has a time limit, and it consumes a lot of spiritual energy. You guys break his shield and cause his spirit to be shaken, then the barbarian cowgirl will naturally disappear. Without the barbarian cowgirl, he's not even worth mentioning. Ma Liang roared. Yes, quickly come and kill me. I can't wait any longer. Yu Yang invited sincerely. The barbaric cow shadow indeed had a time limit. Her time of existence was slightly shorter than the previous 10 days, but it wouldn't be a problem for her to be summoned for 5 to 6 days. If Ma Liang knew about this abnormal time limit, he would probably vomit blood and die from anger. Ma Liang really wanted to control the round-horned flying dragon to go over and swallow the barbarian cowgirl, ending the battle on Yu Yang's side. However, he was worried that City Mistress Fallen Flowers would take the opportunity to release an Aurora Light and kill his strongest flying dragon, the round-horned flying dragon. In his eyes, Yu Yang was just a little thief with a bronze grimoire. Even if there were 10 of him, he wouldn't be able to defeat City Mistress Fallen Flowers with just one hand. Hence, it was enough to let the 3 demon generals grind this little thief to death. The main point of the battle was still how to take down City Mistress Fallen Flowers. As for the heavily injured Bloody Queen, even if she didn't die, she probably wouldn't be able to recover her battle power in a short period of time. Although he hated the incompetence of his 3 subordinates, Ma Liang still needed to make use of them. Furthermore, he was very clear that it wasn't that his subordinates were incompetent, but that they had just experienced a huge battle. If his subordinates' beasts hadn't died in the battle against the bronze-ranked level 7 blade massacring Demoness, then their battle power wouldn't be this weak. You guys slowly chop. I'll take a nap first. Wake me up when you've broken a shield. Yu Yang ignored the 3 demon generals' actions of chopping the Halo shield. Forget about understanding the nature's heart. Even if it was in the past, with his innate rancor's willpower, he would definitely not be affected by such a small tremor. This move might be effective against normal warriors, but it was useless against Yu Yang. He moved a rock and lay down, comfortably using it as a pillow. He placed both of his hands behind his head, crossed his legs, and even rocked back and forth. Of course, this was only on the surface. This was mainly to confuse the enemy and attract their attention. Yu Yang's real intention was to control the barbaric cow shadow, to rush towards the blade, massacring Demoness that was heavily injured by the Aurora. Yu Yang didn't know if this fellow's magic crystal would be useful to the barbaric cow shadow. If it was really useful, then the barbaric cow shadow might be able to level up. Furthermore, there was still the reconstruct skill that he hadn't tried yet. This blade massacring Demoness also had the appearance of a minotaur, so might also belong to the cow category. At the very least, it was much more powerful than snails and longhorn beetles. At least it still had the appearance of a female bull demon king. City Mistress Fallen Flowers used a ball of light that was similar to the Aurora, directly blasting the corrosive flying dragon into a roasted flying dragon. Once its nemesis fell, the 3-tailed snow fox immediately transformed. Its body expanded more than 10 times. With a shake of its 6 tails, a strange fragrance assailed the nostrils. It spat a mouthful of light-colored white mist towards the round-horned flying dragon. The round-horned flying dragon's huge body crashed onto the ground. It actually had no strength to fly up, and could only fight with the six-tailed fox spirit on the ground. Although the six-tailed fox spirit's body was huge, it was extremely fast. Its six tails were like giant whips, causing the round-horned flying dragon to howl in pain. Molly Ang's expression changed. He couldn't care less about Yu Yang anymore. He summoned a small flying dragon with a pair of flaming wings and commanded it to attack. Ma Liang and City Mistress Fallen Flowers were fighting fiercely, but Yu Yang was very relaxed. He controlled the barbaric cow shadow to stomp the silver-spotted flying dragon to death, then dragged the blade, massacring Demonis, whose upper body had been destroyed, back. The three demon generals didn't understand what Yu Yang meant by doing this, and quickly retreated in fear. Towards the struggling blade, massacring Demonis, Yu Yang, who had jumped up, didn't have much pity for it. Little Wenli released her binding inherent skill, binding the blade, massacring Demonis. She then pierced the blade, massacring Demonis between its eyebrows. The gold-ranked dragon, slaying dagger, pierced through the blade, massacring Demonis' brain. Even the strong bronze-ranked level 7 blade, massacring Demonis, fell to the ground. What the hell are you guys doing? Ma Liang took some time to look in the middle of the fierce battle. He saw that his three subordinates were just foolishly looking at the thief. They didn't even make a move. He was immediately seething with anger. If that brat was hiding inside the barrier, then it would be fine. But now that he had walked more than 10 meters away from the barrier, why wasn't he making a move? He didn't have the time to notice that even if Yu Yang had walked out of the barrier would still be there. Similarly, City Mistress Fallen Flowers also didn't have the time to pay attention to Yu Yang's battle situation. She closed her eyes and meditated, preparing to overdraft her spiritual energy and accumulate the third Aurora Ball. She could hear Yu Yang's voice, so she knew that he was fine. She had always thought that he was hiding inside the barrier and laughing at the enemy, but she didn't know that he had already won. When the three demon generals heard Ma Liang's anger, they trembled in fear and rushed forward. Their target wasn't the barbaric cow shadow, but Yu Yang. As long as they killed this strange little thief in an instant, the battle would be over. Just as they were fantasizing in their hearts, a ray of golden light suddenly shot out from the protective barrier. It was the heavily injured and unconscious Bloody Queen. She opened her light blue eyes with a tinge of purple and let out a mournful shriek. Immediately, no matter if it was City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Ma Liang, or even the six-tailed fox spirit and the round-horned flying dragon, all of them fainted and fell to the ground as if they had been struck by lightning. The three demon generals who were the closest to her screams started bleeding from their orifices and fell to the ground one after another. Yu Yang was shocked. He also heard the screams, but he realized that he didn't need to use his innate energy to protect his ears, so he wasn't affected by the screams at all. When he raised his head again, he suddenly realized that Ma Liang's barrier had already disappeared. He didn't even care about killing the three demon generals who had fallen to the ground in front of him and flew towards the dazed Ma Liang like lightning, the Huijin magic blade in his hands, leaving behind a long flame tail and faint smoke, fiercely pierced towards Ma Liang's heart. Three great leaders? Demon commanders? As long as you don't have the protection of a barrier, then you're just trash. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.